Chapter 1179, Scarlet Lightning Valley. Chapter 1179, Scarlet Lightning Valley. Proofreader, Papatonks. Everyone got restless at his words, with Murong Lai saying, "All Genesis stage cultivators with me. We'll draw away the lightning tribulation." Too late. Glancing at the thundering clouds above, lightning struck nearby, leaving behind a black crater 50 miles wide. Zhuo Fan squinted and shook. Black energy came out of him, covering Luo Yunhai and thousands of others below Genesis stage. "I'll protect them with my domain while you get some distance and take on your tribulation." Murong Lai and the rest shot away. But another boom sounded as lightning slammed overhead and cut off their flight, but recalling the many innocent lives behind, they kept forcing themselves to fly. Boom tilde. Lightning snaked and struck down on them. Zhuo Fan held the fort, ignoring the lightning striking him as well. He worked his energy to keep the others safe. At the same time, black energy was released around, absorbing the lightning's power to increase his own cultivation. His meridians and yuan qi were being refined with every strike. He was only in the 7th layer of Genesis stage, but ever since he arrived here and felt the thick spiritual energy, his cultivation grew as well. While he was defending the Luo clan and the rest, he was also taking in the heavens' power, strengthening himself several times. With a muffled sound, he reached the 8th layer. Zhuo Fan grinned. Boom. Another lightning came down on his head and he shook all over. His demon transformation art was revved up to the max, working to remove the lightning's power, but still a fraction got loose within him, roaming through his veins and making his body spasm. Blood spilled from his mouth. He chose to contain it and endure. He could, in fact, use more of his focus to absorb the violent lightning, but then who'd defend the little guys? He could only bear it in silence. Boom tilde. The deadly lightning struck again and again, thick as a bucket, or thin as a plate, crashing down like a mountain. 81 times Zhuo Fan bore through it, and while his body smoked now, he was still fine. His meridians at least had strengthened and his cultivation reached the 9th layer. Ha ha ha, looks like I'm close to Spirit King as well. Zhuo Fan looked at the scattering black clouds and sighed. Never mind, taking 81 lightning strikes almost burned through all my body. Taking another round right now to advance to the Spirit King level will most likely kill me. Next time. Zhuo Fan felt his aching body, but his power surged with vigor through his limbs. Only a monster like Zhuo Fan, able to fight a Spirit King, could take something like that. Other Genesis cultivators would have breathed their last around the 30th strike. Just as Zhuo Fan was about to let the others out, booming sounded again and looked up. The deadly lightning echoed in his ears once more. His brow jumped, his face twitching. "You don't mean it's still coming, do you?" Boom. Another explosion was his answer to that challenge as an even thicker lightning slammed into him. The dreadful power made him tremble all over as he spurted blood. "What is this? That's no lightning tribulation. No such lightning has that kind of power." Zhuo Fan peered at the sky in shock, finding the thunderclouds weren't just black, but laced with crimson, soul-sucking blood lightning. This is Scarlet Lightning Valley. Looking at the burnt soil below, Zhuo Fan finally knew where he was in sacred domain. Lightning constantly struck it, and on a different level than outside this area. Each lightning was devastating in might, turning a brighter red the stronger it was. Once a red lightning fell, even a saint would have to be wary, yet a white lightning could press hard. A Spirit King. That was what made this place so desolate. No one wanted to come in here just to die the next second. What's with our rotten luck? We just came to sacred domain and landed in this place. Zhuo Fan gnashed his teeth. This place wasn't up to Lightning Canyon, but it wasn't far behind either. Right, Thunder Pavilion. Zhuo Fan exclaimed in realization. The 8 whirlwind tunnels in the mortal domain corresponded with sacred domain's 8 extreme locations. Thunder Pavilion was linked to this Scarlet Lightning Valley. Since they came through the Thunder Pavilion's location, they ended up in this godforsaken place. All the constant lightning around the Thunder Pavilion was due to this place as well. Zhuo Fan held his head. This is fricking fate, I tell you. The recoiling array needed to draw spiritual energy from all around. The crucial thing is balance. Its best location was the heart of the Five Lands, which was Thunder Pavilion. Which made coming from mortal domain to the sacred domain always going to be here. The Scarlet Lightning Valley couldn't be avoided. Now we just have to get the hell out of here under a shower of lightning before a scarlet one drops on us. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone and a demonic sword appeared in his palm, shining scarlet, soaring sword art, soaring heaven. Zhuo Fan slashed and a scarlet sword wave shot at the thundercloud's rumble. White flashed just then, striking the wave. Scarlet and red collided and dissipated, but Zhuo Fan's art remained, its power piercing the clouds and punching a hole through them. Zhuo Fan grinned, "This works. Now I just have to break down the clouds and the scarlet lightning can't form." But he then watched as the clouds flickered with lightning and sealed back the hole like it never happened. Zhuo Fan's face twitched, his hand waving the sword around as he sent attacks at the clouds. "I'll just have to be faster than its recovery." Booms sounded constantly, the sword waves clashing with the lightning, yet the ART's power reached the clouds many times and punched holes in it. But then the lightning grew in strength and Zhuo Fan's soaring sword art lost its advantage, until it could no longer even block it. The following lightning struck Zhuo Fan and numbed his whole body while the holes in the sky were patched up as a trace of scarlet flashed. Zhuo Fan started, "Once they start turning red, I'll have no chance." Zhuo Fan's hands were sweaty. Ding! A ringing reached his ears and Zhuo Fan flinched. His thunder ring flashed purple and the sundering sword appeared in his other hand. "Oh, sundering sword, what are you up to?" Zhuo Fan asked. Whoosh! The purple sword released a powerful lightning wave, then took Zhuo Fan to face the heavens. Zhuo Fan blinked, but still chose to follow the spirited sword into facing this challenge. Boom! Lightning thundered and a huge strike came down at Zhuo Fan. It even contained a trace of red. Damn it, the lightning change. Zhuo Fan panicked, wanting to block with the demonic sword, but the sundering sword moved first, slapping it out of the way and releasing a strong purple wave. It carried Zhuo Fan's arm and struck hard. Boom! With a deafening explosion, the purple lightning wave blasted the incoming attack into harmless motes of light. The purple sword then shot into the thunderclouds and blew a huge hole in them, greatly weakening the charged lightning clouds. To the point the snaking lightning glowing red turned white. This is destruction, the power of the sundering sword art. Zhuo Fan's eyes shook. "I see, the soaring sword art might be tough enough to break heaven, but clouds are formless, merely pushed back and not dissipated, letting them recover fast. But with the sundering sword art, containing the power of destruction, the thunderclouds were greatly weakened." Chapter 1180, Sundering Sword's Inheritance. Chapter 1180, Sundering Sword's Inheritance. Proofreader, Papatonks. Ding! The sundering sword hummed softly, as if to confirm his words. Zhuo Fan snickered. Then, "Sundering sword, rise with me and break that lightning. Tear a hole in the sky so that I can use apocalyptic thunderflame to make sure it never recovers. Ha ha ha." Bam! The sundering sword put a stop to his mad cackle, smacking his head with the wide part of the blade, making his nose swell. "What was that for?" Rubbing his poor nose, Zhuo Fan snapped back, irate, "I wield you now, you're my sword. I'm your master. Is that how you treat me? See how I pulverize your sword spirit." The sundering sword paused then struck again, only this time it did on the demonic sword. Ding! "Wanna fight? Don't mess with me." The demonic sword was no pushover, reacting by floating in front of the sundering sword and taunting it. The sundering sword just stood still. Zhuo Fan said, "You're saying to put all my skill aside and use just you to face the thunderclouds?" Ding! The sundering sword shook again. "Hey, don't just ignore me. I'm made of sterner stuff, 4 swords in fact. Yet a newbie like you tries to take my place. Why should master use just you? Trying to replace me, is that it? Ha, keep dreaming, hunk of rust, in a few days you'll be a part of me. Hi hi hi." The demonic sword had enough of the sundering sword's arrogance and brandished its edge, trying to pick a fight. Zhuo Fan nodded. "Alright, I'll give you this chance. Demonic sword, return." The demonic sword stalled, looking stumped at his master's decision, even depressed. "Master, you already got a new flame and forgot your trusted sidekick? I'm made of 4 blades here." Demonic sword didn't make a fuss, noticing Zhuo Fan's determination, turning into a black light and slipping in his body. Zhuo Fan gripped the sundering sword and it took him towards the sky to fight the heavens. Lightning struck constantly, yet all Zhuo Fan did was swing the sundering sword around, destroying the attacks as purple glows flared on every contact. The utter destruction of the lightning had the thunderclouds growing weaker. When Zhuo Fan used the soaring sword art, he only scattered the lightning power in the clouds, only delaying its growth and not stopping the source. Now though, he had the means to destroy them. Boom! Zhuo Fan charged into the thunderclouds with the sundering sword, with lightning coming from all around now. If I used Thunderflame Void Annihilation now, the clouds. Bam! Zhuo Fan indulged in a flight of fancy, but the sudden knock to the head brought him back to reality. Zhuo Fan sighed and shook his head. Fine, I get it, no other skills but you, happy? But how is a lone sword supposed to remove all the thunderclouds in a 1,000-mile area? Time waits for no one, and once red starts appearing. The sundering sword was silent, for a lack of a better word. Then it started moving and took Zhuo Fan's hand with it. Its blade shone a deep purple glow. Zhuo Fan shook all over, as a figure suddenly appeared in his mind as he wielded the sundering sword. Sundering, one day I will take you to the top, become the focus of everyone, ha ha ha. Bailey Yutian cackled among the flaring lightning clouds as he hacked at the incoming attacks with pride and arrogance. Only I am worthy of such a divine sword, not those common folk. But Bailey Yutian paused, showing fear. There will always be someone better out there. If one day someone can take you from me, it proves I'm not worthy of you, and you should have a much stronger master. He will be just like me, taking you to the top and not disgrace your sundering name of splitting the heavens. By then, I shall be dead, but you must pass on all my knowledge and insight in the way of the sword to him. If I can't take you to the top, then my path will. Tilda. The sundering sword shook to console him. Ha ha ha, I'm only assuming here. Who in the world could ever defeat me? Don't worry about it, ha ha ha. Bailey Yutian wielded the divine sword with burning battle spirit. Zhuo Fan finally understood the sundering sword. It passed on Bailey Yutian's legacy. There was none out there better than Bailey Yutian when it came to understanding the sundering sword art, not even the sword sovereign. While he had made the 5 divine swords by combining their arts with the 5 sacred beasts' powers, he was not the least bit aware of what changes that brought. Bailey Yutian, however, was a man immersed in the sundering sword art all his life, having understood the core of the sundering sword art. Why else would the sundering sword's inheritance have Bailey Yutian's image and not someone else's? There had to be countless people wielding it through eons, including the sword sovereign, but only one man truly understood it. Zhuo Fan's gaze steeled, slashing around based on Bailey Yutian's example. Wind picked up and purple lightning flared as the sword fell. The thunderclouds around shone and then faded away. From just the sword's intent, lightning exploded in all directions and the world crumbled. Zhuo Fan forgot himself in this state, his form following Bailey Yutian's actions to perfection as he unleashed devastating and brutal sword strikes. By the time he finished the entire set of strikes, the sky was clear of thunderclouds and the sun shone brightly on the scorched earth. For the first time ever, Zhuo Fan felt a tear come loose at the display, not due to him, but induced by the sundering sword. Spirit, having their minds linked, the sword spirit might not speak, but it could send Zhuo Fan its deep emotions. Purple flickered from the sundering sword, blending with the world's spiritual energy. Zhuo Fan saw as the sword spirit scattered its own energy to return to the earth once it passed on the sundering sword art, a true sacrifice for a true friend. With the death of the invincible sword, it wanted to follow him as well. But his wish to pass on his legacy kept it here. Now, it could pass on as well without remorse. The sundering sword now became just an empty shell. Zhuo Fan reached the top. As the last purple energy faded, Zhuo Fan saw the invincible sword shout in his mind and knew it to be the sword spirit blessing him instead of its former master. Zhuo Fan smirked and nodded, like master, like sword. Like sword, like master. The sundering sword spirit was as carefree and heroic as the invincible sword. Tracing the purple divine sword's blade, Zhuo Fan smiled and placed it in his ring, his eyes firm. I will reach the top, along with your sword art. Whoosh tilde. Murong Lai and the others popped up next to Zhuo Fan. Sir Zhuo, are you alright? Yes, what about you? Zhuo Fan flicked his hand and the domain faded, revealing strong auras. Luo Yunhai's group had broken their restraints and entered Genesis stage, while the 3 kids were now in ethereal stage. Zhuo Fan nodded, turning to the Sword Kings with a glint in his eye. Murong Lai's group had been kept for so long behind that now they were at peak Spirit King stage. Even Li Jingtian and the elders reached mid-Spirit King stage. They were all thrilled at the boundless yuan qi they felt. Steward Zhuo, your cultivation fell again, to the 5th layer of bone tempering stay. Li Jingtian gasped. Zhuo Fan now focused on his own cultivation and cried out in astonishment, Mid-Spirit King? Having met with lightning tribulation, the peak Genesis stage, Zhuo Fan, Due to Sundering Sword's inheritance, his heart grew as well as making the true self art bring his cultivation down to the bone tempering stage, while his true cultivation lay at mid-Spirit King stage. Though reaching Spirit King brought lightning tribulation, Zhuofan had been waving Sundering Sword around without restraint, thus he unknowingly cut his own tribulation down before he could feel it. He felt down at the realization, I missed the chance to toughen my body. But since he got a taste of the other's tribulations, his regret faded. What's the point of going through all that again when I already got a Spirit King's body the first time around? Haha. Everyone. With all safe and sound and Zhuofan gaining the Sundering Sword's insight, a bargain to be honest, his eyes flashed. With our Spirit King's cultivation levels, we now can form a group. Sword Kings, having gotten a Divine Sword's insights, will be more than mere Spirit Kings. I dare say that we can now jump ahead and carve our own slice of the sacred domain. Chapter 1181, Hunter, Hunted. Chapter 1181, Hunter, Hunted. Proofreader, Papatonks. Come right up. Top spirit ores, black crystals, and other top goods. 12th grade pills. The peddlers were shouting their wares in the market of a small town, having put them on a dazzling display for all interested parties, making this place buzz with activity. In front of the town there was a towering guard post, with the word on it spelling Joy Town. A girl led her 12 imposing Genesis stage guards up to the entrance. She also had one thin youth right next her. The bustling little town fell utterly silent. Everyone turned their heads at the unfamiliar faces, each pair of eyes glimmering with hidden intentions. It lasted merely moments, as they all resumed the chatter and activity like the previous unnerving pause never occurred. Luo Yunchang found it strange, giving Zhuofan a look, but the latter smiled as he signaled them all to enter the town. The market was just as busy as before, yet it now had a strange vibe to it. The eyes of all the people found themselves resting on the newcomers at one point or another. Luo Yunchang was unnerved, her face grave as she clutched Zhuofan's hand. Zhuofan, this town is creepy. We wouldn't be here otherwise. Ha ha ha. Zhuofan snickered, his eyes taking in every last face around, showing the same hunting gaze as the townfolks. Zhuofan took Luo Yunchang and the others to a tavern and bowed. Young miss, it's getting late. Could we rest here? Luo Yunchang nodded, following his intention of going inside after him. Whence you came and where you're hailing, travelers? Will you be stopping by or resting? A dolled-up middle-aged woman smiled the minute they entered, asking and scanning them like a hawk. Zhuofan said, have 5 of your best rooms ready. Young miss will take one and the rest are for us. 13. Oh, 5 rooms. The host looked troubled. Forgive me, but my meager establishment does not have so many empty rooms. How many are there then? 1. 1 isn't enough. Zhuofan shook his head. We can't have young miss take it and have no one watch over her. Young miss, let's just find another tavern. Luo Yunchang gave him a look and nodded. We'll do as Steward Zhua says. This is the only tavern in Joy Town. Going out to find more and you'll be left sleeping with the stars overhead. A shout came. They all jumped, looking to find a middle-aged man covered in fine attire and glittering decorations. The hostess lit up and bowed. Steward Fang, owner, this doesn't concern you. I'll take care of our new friends. Steward Fang smiled and sent the hostess away before he cupped his hands towards the group. I am Fang Ding, the steward of Liao Clan. How may I address you? Zhuofan gave a curt nod, smiling back with cupped hands. I am Zhuofan, Luo Clan steward. Here is my young miss Luo Yunchang and her guards. Trading brought us through this area and we thought of resting after noticing the darkened sky. Oh, you're a steward? Fang Ding's eyes shone with suspicion. Brother Zhua, if I may be so bold, your cultivation is a little. Zhuofan caught his meaning and looked crestfallen as he sighed, not willing to talk about it. Luo Yunchang intervened. To be honest, Steward Zhua was born with incomplete meridians, unable to compare with other fellow cultivators. But his intellect is beyond reproach. My father especially had him take over our affairs. A steward isn't a fighting role, so what's the point of a high cultivation, wouldn't you say? Ha ha ha. Luo Yunchang held Zhuofan's hand, giving him a compassionate pat on the hand. Well, I'll be, the pretty boy is mooching off her. Fang Ding reached an instant conclusion. A 20-something-year-old guy in the bone tempering stage is worse than a toddler. Might as well spare him from a crippled life. No matter how sharp he is up there, there's no way to become a steward. While a steward is no fighter, he is, after all, the face of a clan. He clearly curried favor to reach his position. Humph, the kid is garbage. Fang Ding was smart enough not to speak his mind, though brothers were. There's a master in every walk of life. Now you're a steward and tomorrow a leader. Fang Ding patted his shoulder as he laughed. Since I find you so close and you all have nowhere to stay, why not spend the night at the Liao Manor? Luo Yunchang perked up, but was looking immensely gratified as she bowed. What a great idea, but we wouldn't want to impose on your clan head. Young Miss Luo, my master is a most hospitable person. Everyone in 100 miles knows him for his generosity. My master would help any in times of need when they knock on his door, be it stranger or fellow townsman. Fang Ding smiled. Why else would this town be called Joy Town? I'm sure you've noticed our people's cheerful nature. This place is under my master's supervision. He is sure to go wild with joy having you staying over at his place. The hostess then giggled, coming over and complaining, Master Liao is a man of honor and integrity. He stole so many of my guests, I'm scraping a living here, ha ha ha. Fang Ding smiled. Luo Yunchang and Zhuo Fan shared a look, then said with respect, then thank you so much, Steward Fang. Excuse us for imposing. Young Miss Luo is too kind. Fang Ding returned their gesture. Fang Ding lead them out of the tavern. The hostess' face went dark just then, showing a cruel smile as bloodlust boiled in her eyes. Fang Ding brought Zhuo Fan's group minutes later to a large manor. He greeted the guards and walked in. The guards beamed and bowed. Unlike any guards from the usual lording clans, Luo Yunchang felt her hair stand on end, noticing the disdain hidden behind the facade. Gripping Zhuo Fan's hand tighter, young Miss Luo, please wait a moment while I fetch master. In the large hall, Fang Ding bowed as he made his escape. Zhuo Fan smiled back, looking around the place, taking a deep breath. Luo Yunchang whispered, Zhuo Fan, something definitely not right about this place. Of course there isn't. Who in their right mind set up a town at the edge of Scarlet Lightning Valley without a good reason? From what I know, there's been a large war here once, turning it into a wasteland, with no people or resources. Who would ever want to stay here? Zhuo Fan's eyes shone, looking at the manor with a smirk. The ones coming here can only be those with checkered past no one wants. They only know how to live by harming others, through means no one would speak of in the open. Not even demonic cultivators dare to step in here. For all they know, that bright and cheerful smile could be hiding a bloodthirsty monster. Luo Yunchang shuddered. What the hell are we doing here then? Let's run before. Run. We came here to scout and check their limits so as to choose the best way to make our move. Zhuo Fan mocked. In a lawless corner like this, just how bad could it get? He wants to be the hunter, but time will tell who the real prey is. Humph. Luo Yunchang nodded. Zhuo Fan, are we really going to steal another's turf? Of course. Zhuo Fan nodded. The sacred domain has long since been split up and the borders are not about to change overnight. For outsiders like us who want to keep low, we can only do that by assuming another's place. There's nothing remotely honorable about Joy Town, but someone still knows it. That gives us the certified identity we desperately need. Chapter 1182, Liao Clan Head. Chapter 1182, Liao Clan Head. Proofreader, Papa Tonks. In a dark room, a used rocking chair creaked as it swayed at the motions of an elderly man with white hair and a dim expression. Fang Ding bowed. Clan Head, I've looked into them on the way and they're merchants. The highest level cultivator is their clan head, a spirit king, holding a bit of sway in a small town. They have nothing else to their name. We can begin. How are the goods? The elderly man spoke in a jittery tone. Fang Ding was solemn. Clan head, be assured they're exquisite. The young miss and the 12 guards are in Genesis stage. Only that pretty boy steward is a waste at bone tempering stage and can be ignored. Let's take a look. The elderly man coughed and walked out with Fang Ding behind him with a light coughing. The elderly man entered the main hall. Luo Yunchang's group stood up and greeted him. The elderly man's black and blue face, like a freak's, had the women frightened, and they let out an "ah." Zhuo Fan squinted. Sizing him up, is my face that scary, young miss? The old man coughed twice and smiled before taking the main seat with Fang Ding at his side. The women strained to keep a straight face as they bowed. Clan head Liao, forgive our loss of composure. It's fine, I know better than anyone just how ghastly I look. Everyone jumps the first time, ha ha ha. The old man waved off their concern, then sized them up with a glimmer in his eyes. Luo Yunchang felt a chill come over her, like she was being put on display for others to judge her worth. The old man restrained his piercing gaze and showed a wide smile. Steward Fang has been telling me young Miss Luo's father is a lord over a city. Which was it again? Magical City. Luo Yunchang smiled. The old man pondered. Magical City is nothing special, occupying around 100 miles, far smaller than my town. Any spirit king can take the lead there. The Luo clan shouldn't be a tough nut to crack then. The elderly man continued. Magical City, under whose administration? Liao clan head, please. Everyone knows the 8 emperors of the sacred domain. Half of sacred domain belongs to the 8 emperors while the other half to the 7 sacred mountains. The bits and pieces stuck in between are at the discretion of the tougher spirit kings to fight over. They're places no one cares about and, unfortunately, housing people they care even less. Luo Yunchang sighed. Father offered a gift at the start of the year to the Lord of Tempest City and hoped to get his recommendation to gain the Sword Emperor's help. But even the last of the Sword Emperor's 72 city lords did not deign to see us. He even threw our gift out the door, forcing Father to come back in disappointment. It's not easy to get on anyone's good graces. The old man sighed. Yes, in these times great danger awaits any who do not have a strong backer. You have managed to get a city lord position today, but tomorrow someone else will take it from you. Yes, these are harsh times, eh? Luo Yunchang gave him an odd look. Liao clan head, I beg your pardon? What do you mean by that last part? The old man had an eerie grin. That I'm so relieved your father has no one to turn to. It'll give me that much sweeter sleep once I take you, ha ha ha. Luo Yunchang started in shock and jumped to her feet. The 12 guards and Zhuo Fan moved to defend her. Don't waste your energy, insects. The old man sneered and with a flick of his hand, the group felt a gale coming at them and flung them into the air. They then vanished the next second and reappeared in a place where there were piles and piles of bones. Luo Yunchang shrieked, then looked for Zhuo Fan. Ah, Zhuo Fan, save me. Barrier. Zhuo Fan squinted at his surroundings and said, to think the town had such a place. On the surface it looked flourishing, but beneath it hid a mountain of bones. Luo Yunchang clutched to him for dear life as she looked around in worry. How do we escape? There is no escape. Your meager strength won't ever get out of my first-grade sacred array. A laughter came from everywhere in this morbid place, and the old man re-emerged in front of them with a snicker. Fang Ding and all the townfolks were here as well, laughing at the Luo clan's flustered and panicked looks. Bang tilde. Luo Yunchang's anger-fueled fist let out muffled sounds as it landed on the invisible barrier that surrounding them, roaring, Geezer, let us out right now or you'll be sorry. Let you go. Why, on account of your third-rate city's lord of a father? Ha ha ha. The old man cackled. Please, not only do I not fear him, but would you believe me when I tell you that he won't even suspect me, woman? Luo Yunchang's face fell, her eyes staring hard. Zhuo Fan smiled. True enough, with Scarlet Lightning Valley being so close, any disappearance would immediately think it is the main reason. Who'd ever think such a joyful little town would hide a den of bloodthirsty monsters? I must say, you're more than you look, kid. You got good eyes on you. The old man cocked an eyebrow as he gave Zhuo Fan another careful look. I can see it's not just your pretty looks that got you the steward job. So you do have skill after all. Yes, I picked this place because of Scarlet Lightning Valley offering a perfect excuse for any and all kills that I make. No one would ever think it was me. Zhuo Fan smiled. Right, you're quite cautious, looking into all travelers that reach your town. You're letting those with backing go while striking at the nameless ones. It mattered little if those little groups the victims belonged to had the power or not, especially since you have Scarlet Lightning Valley as cover. Let's say your cover is blown, but even then, as Peak Spirit King you'd make light work of them. You've made a killer living in this place, and it's safe too. You know me so well, kid, despite being a cripple. I'm starting to like you. The old man nodded, offering, why not join me and I'll spare you. Zhuo Fan smirked. Luo Yunchang was furious, hammering away at the impervious barrier while screaming like a banshee. You could be the lord of your own area with your strength, so why did you choose to do such things instead? Even working under the 8 emperors should be easier than attacking in the shadows. The old man gnashed his teeth, then eased with powerlessness because he has no other choice. No matter how much the 8 emperors love talent, they'll never take in someone who uses the soul-devouring array. They'd rather avoid repeating the age-old scenario of being hunted down by all of sacred domain. Zhuofan's eyes shone as he shouted. The old man shuddered from shock, glaring hard at Zhuofan. Who the hell are you? How do you know? As for the townfolk, they were equally overwhelmed. Soul-devouring array? What's that? Luo Yunchang frowned hard with an evil smile. Zhuofan stared at the other party, opening the sordid past hidden for so many years. Soul Eater is a demonic cultivation art that took everything from another cultivator to further their own power. Only what it's absorbed also contains regret and hatred, taking its toll on the user's mind while rotting the body from the inside. Therefore, restraint is an absolute must with this method, to purge all the hatred first and strengthen one's core before using it again. That is if one doesn't want to end up becoming a walking corpse. Zhuofan pointed at the old man's ghastly face and laughed. The old man's face twitched, boiling mad. Chapter 1183, Messing with the Wrong Guy. Chapter 1183, Messing with the Wrong Guy. Proofreader, Papatonks. That's because of the art. Luo Yunchang gasped. Zhuofan grinned. Yep, this is where those absorbing constantly without moderation get. Young miss, have another look at the piles of bones. He sucked them dry, so much so that the hatred and death festered beneath his skin so much that his body couldn't take it. He's a spirit king, but with a withered look, he's getting very close to keeling over. The only thing prolonging his miserable existence is doing it over and over again, which also further amplifies the problem. To survive, he has to absorb many more people, leading to more dangerous absorption. This vicious cycle would invoke the wrath of all cultivators. There's no emperor out there who would take such an unnecessary risk. It's like committing social suicide, which is why he would be hated like that patriarch, Liao Tianding, in the past. How do you know so much? The old man looked at Zhuofan like he was a monster. Luo Yunchang's brow shook. Liao Tianding? An even more suicidal fool. Zhuofan smirked, his face grave. That guy wasn't as subtle as his grandson here in avoiding genocide. He had no qualms about killing scores of people. He was a demon among demons, the first ever to be called a demon king. City after city turned into ghost towns with their only residents being piles of bones. His frozen cultivation also jumped from spirit king all the way to saint, just short of becoming a sovereign. All he missed was a sovereign path. Otherwise he would have lived forever. Too bad he first became a public enemy, inciting the wrath of the entire sacred domain's dark and white factions. For the first time ever, they joined hands in destroying him. It ended with his death somewhere around Scarlet Lightning Valley, here in fact. His clansmen then vanished into thin air, never to be found. Not that it mattered, since this art was something only he knew and it died with him. But by the looks of things, he had passed it on. That's why you're all so sneaky in setting up a town here. The old man's face twitched hard, overwhelmed at having his secret spilled. He pointed a shaky finger at him, stammering, Who the hell are you? How do you know a 10,000-year-long secret? 10,000 years? Zhuofan mused. That bastard got me killed around 5,000 years after the Great Battle. I see. So that means that my rebirth through the 9 Serenities secret records took me 5,000 years. The old man roared at having received no answer. What are you? Why do you know? Because I was there as well. Zhuofan's eyes shone with malice. The old man gave him a baffling look. No, impossible. Just how old are you? How could a mere bone-tempering cultivator have been in that battle? Geezer, I have to say, your patriarch was insufferably arrogant and died. While you have learned from his lesson and kept your head down. It's a real shame how much you've fallen. You are now in the presence of the head of the 8 emperors in. Your sword, Emperor Ao Changtian? The old man cried out. Zhuofan's face sank. Since when did that old coot take the throne? I am Demonic Emperor. Demonic Emperor Zhao Chen? The old man didn't know restraint, crying over and over and cutting him off. Zhuofan gnashed his teeth. Geriatric fool, are you even listening? In the battle to hunt Liao Tianding down, that rotten punk hadn't even been born yet. I'm the head of the 8 emperors of that time. Has there ever been a demonic emperor as the head of the 8 emperors? The old man blinked, looking utterly lost. Shuafan's face twitched and sighed. Old man, how old are you? Over 3,000 years. I see, Pipsqueak, you truly deserve getting killed. Shuafan laughed. You've only come 2,000 years later and you've already forgotten my name? That's a death sentence right there. Then again, you ought to die regardless. Being so obscure, so withdrawn from society, with no friends or relatives in the world, no one would even notice your passing. You're practically made to die. That first reason only made it more obvious. Everyone sank in confusion. Shuafan snickered. I'm saying that I'm copying your style and killing all the insignificant targets to replace them. From now on, Joy Town will be the Luo clan's and you will sink into obscurity. What? They all stared blankly, then cracked up. Ha ha ha, take our town? Who do you think you are, shouting such idiotic dreams as a bone-tempering cultivator? Just because you know some old events, you think you can play the senior to intimidate us? Can't you even tell your stage? A bone-tempering cultivator gets 2 centuries at best. Who are you trying to fool by saying you were there 10,000 years ago? Hey, brat, you almost had me with your big talk, but you're now in my trap and I will suck you dry. Yet you still have the nerve to say you'd take Joy Town from us. What a joke. Everyone laughed, looking at Shuafan with nothing but scorn. No matter how much of a smooth talker you are, you should never say such idiotic things. Even calling yourself some long-lost third cousin of an emperor's second sister would have been smarter if you wanted to live. At least that would intimidate us enough to get you released. But that brash talk. No one's going to buy that obvious lie. Bam! A sudden explosion rang in their ears even as they laughed, cutting it short soon after the soul-devouring array had just gone from pristine to total destruction in just a moment. In its place were black flames licking at the edges. Their smiles got frozen on their faces and their laughter got stuck in their throats. Their eyes were the only things betraying the fear and shock they felt inside. Shuafan's left eye flared with the black thunderflame, his smile insufferable. Sorry, but I'm no comedian. I only know how to follow through with what I say. You're doomed. Shuafan flicked his hand and a black wave shot into the sky, followed by a loud explosion and a shower of black flames. Hutilda. Terrible energies drew near the townfolk, enclosing them and the sinister town beneath the joyful facade. Spirit King, the old man gasped, his mouth trembling. 1, 3, 20. How in the hell did so many of them come here? Who have we messed with? Sensing all those raging energy signatures, and none of them on his side, the old man was in despair, with the others struck with dread. Just what emperor had they irked to send so many spirit kings to their little town? Mommy, who the hell are they? Is this an entrapment? The old man was a wreck inside, howling, everyone run. We can't take them, just run. A boom cut him off and the sky above roiled with black flames. Fang Ding and all other townfolk got reduced to ashes. The old man shook all over, turning a stiff head at Shuafan, to see him smirking, flooding the space with your power and controlling it. You're a spirit king as well? You got that right. Shuafan grinned, raising his hand and shouting, die. The old man gnashed his teeth, roaring, I'm a peak spirit king. You won't kill me by being in the same stage as me, 1,000 soul possession. Wraiths howled and the air grew cold as they flouted into existence. Despite having the space under his control, the wraiths still appeared they didn't get to survive for long, as the black flames burned them down to nothing. A second later the old man was dumbstruck. What the hell is this? I'm at peak Sword King stage, so why on earth are my actions so damn useless? Geezer, you may be higher in cultivation than me, but I trump you in quality. Ha ha ha. Shuafan grasped and black flames howled on the old man's side, slamming into him and covering him completely. Tilda. His mournful cries filled with pain and horror rent the sky as he twisted in futile attempt at survival. His eyes, however, contained nothing but confusion as he roared in defiance. Just who the hell are you? The head of the 8 emperors 5,000 years ago, demonic emperor Zhuo Yifan. Shuafan's eyes shone. Now the Luo clan's steward, Shuafan. You should be honored for dying at my hand. Ah. With one last cry, whether in regret and defiance, or maybe even fear, the old man breathed his last, and his existence burned from this world. Chapter 1184. Another change. Chapter 1184, Another Change. Proofreader, Papatonks. Roar Tilda. Draconic roars littered the sky as Danqing Shen brought the few Luo clan spirit kings from the north side of town, killing their way in. The dragon and sword energies flared unrestrained and took down all people that tried fleeing this disaster from the south side. Bali Yuyu turned into a demon, spreading death and destruction with her rain of swords. Murong Lai was in the east, standing guard and unleashing hell with his flames. Ouyang Lingtian came in from the west like an ice wall, freezing anyone that tried getting out and turning them into crystallized works of art as howls and cries of agony resounded. The town's population was purged with the closing of the net. By the time the mortal domain residents entered the town proper, there was nothing but blood and body parts all over. Murong Shui felt it unbearable and searched for Zhuofan. Are these people as bad as you thought? Are their crimes so heinous? Ask her. Zhuofan shrugged and walked to the others, shouting, "Clean up the place, it will be our home for a while." The men cheered and started working. Murong Shui turned to Luo Yunchang, having more pressing concerns. Like morality, Luo Yunchang gave her a smile as she explained what happened. Only then did the woman's worries ease, the town cesspool of pointless killing. Like the saying went, evil beget evil. Though imps had no chance of fighting against the likes of a demonic emperor, Murong Shui turned to watch Zhuofan giving orders with a smile. This demon was right, he's only going after those that deserve it. The housing was distributed according to each individual's strength, placing the Luo clan's leadership and the spirit kings in the manner they just had to touch it up a bit first, like putting up the Luo clan signboard, marking as official the switch from the Liao clan's town to the Luo clan's. Zhuofan found a few hidden arrays and other secret tunnels, quite convenient in fact, such that he didn't need to make any new ones. So after he handled the basic organization, he went into seclusion. It was not to cultivate, but to fulfill the dear wish of his trusty guardian Ding. The demonic sword made its appearance in a shower of black light as Zhuofan worked on setting up a refining array. It hovered about, shaking with excitement and entering the center before Zhuofan's even said anything. Zhuofan chuckled, "Blood spirit, you were supposed to be my vital blood infant, and I only let you inside the vaulting sword to keep its nature. I'm also curious to see if I can do the impossible and combine the 5 divine swords said to never be melded as one. Even if not a sovereign weapon, the union of the 5 sword arts are best suited for me. I should be the one getting excited here, so why are you so eager then? You didn't look to have gotten much out of the combination of the first 4. Ding tilde. The sword rang, its patience non-existent as it urged him, fine, let's see what tricks you can do. But let me warn you, you better hang tight as the apocalyptic thunderflame burns you again. It won't be pretty though. Zhuofan smiled. The demonic sword swayed in excitement, smirking. Zhuofan made the signs to start the array. Sword spirit renewal, 5 become 1 as a sacred weapon ascends to give birth to a sovereign weapon. Who tilde? Zhuofan's left eye released black flames, melding with the array. The air around the array warped as the black thunder flames covered it completely. The demonic sword was being cooked under the ravaging flames, shaking now and then. It was good that it couldn't speak or the room would have been echoing with its screams of torment. Zhuofan held out the sundering sword, now without a sword spirit, and threw it in. Crackling sounded as the demonic sword and the sundering sword melted and slowly fused. Demon transformation art. Zhuofan shouted and released a flood of black energy into the array. The black smoke engulfed the crackling flames, and as the last wave of black smoke came, it enveloped the 2 swords in darkness. The array turned into a black cocoon, with black energy swirling around its outer layer as explosions of thunder and flames echoed from within. Taking a deep breath, Zhuofan observed every little change in the array, his heart tense. He had never heard of a sovereign weapon even existing or anyone attempting to refine one. Although he was piggybacking on Sword Sovereign's 5 sacred weapons, he lacked an ounce of confidence. I just can't tell what will become of the fusion of the 5 sacred weapons. Will it be as before, just adding another sword, or will it go through a change? Uniting 5 sword arts has to be at the level of Sword Sovereign's sword path, right? I'm really looking forward to it. Zhuofan stared hard at the writhing ball of darkness, pacing around and sweating out of anxiety. Time slipped away and flashes kept coming from within. Only about 8 hours later did they show signs of growing weaker. The flames were strong still though, While the sword was nowhere in sight, the only reason he knew it was still there was because Zhuo Fan's life was connected to the blood infant. After much hesitation, Zhuo Fan reached out, hoping to peer inside. But what if the fusing is at a critical point and my interference would ruin it? So Zhuo Fan halted, pushing down his curiosity, and waited. It took 3 whole days before Zhuo Fan ran out of patience, with the ball showing no obvious sign of stopping. In the meantime, just as he was about to stop the array, the black ball gave a mighty shudder and caused the ground to do the same. Zhuo Fan almost fell. Boom tilde. Even the sky started rumbling and warped, with some strange cloud forming, as if in a frown. Plop tilde. In the 7 sacred mountains, an old man with white beard was perusing a script in a refined pavilion. The world then shook around him, the peak itself as well, and the sky showed multicolored clouds. Everyone cried out, "Why is this happening again? Didn't this end with the one 100 years ago? We didn't even get to understand that, and now another is coming? This is different from the last." The old man floated and turned to the others. "Look, a century ago, we couldn't even use our cultivation, unlike now." "Oh, that's right." The other elders floated at once and could finally stand upright, but the sky's changes had them confused. "It's unlike last time, but still quite similar." Pa. In a small bamboo house, a chess piece landed on the board as he turned to look at the sky outside. After so many years, someone challenging the sovereign stage appear. "Who?" Another man spoke in a rough voice. "Do you remember the one who has the highest chance of dragging down a sovereign? Patriarch Blood Demon? Him. He had a shot but not his own path and was unable to advance. No matter how strong, he was still no match for a sovereign. Only. Pa." Another piece fell on the board and the man said, "It can't be said the same about his blood infant. A spirit." "Yes, spirits are born in this world, within the scope of the 10 paths, with none having its own true path, yet having the chance of forming a sovereign path. Once one has this, one can gamble with a sovereign. If the blood infant stood independent, that's not possible. Who would just let their vital blood infant fly free?" The other man denied it. The first man lay another piece and sneered, "Yes, one can't gain without giving up first." This was the reason why that old man could never match a sovereign. But that's in the past. There's no sovereign path appearing, yet the change is still here, showing that someone out there has the potential. I wonder who. Is it one of his friends he brought along, perhaps? Ha ha ha, how amusing. The mortal domain is filled with talent. The more barren a place is, the more miracles it enjoys. Chapter 1185, Apocalyptic Sword Child. Chapter 1185, Apocalyptic Sword Child. Proofreader, Papatonks. Boom tilde. The shaking kept up for 6 hours from his room. Zhuo Fan had no way to see the changing skies, looking startled as he stared at the black ball, afraid of doing anything and ruining it all. The black ball began hissing and shrunk down to just half a meter in size, revealing a strange shape that made Zhuo Fan tense. As the ball shrank even more, the shape became clearer. Zhuo Fan's eyes jumped wider as the black ball vanished. What was revealed was a thin 7-year-old child with a darker skin tone dressed in pitch-black robes. The ball shrank only because he was absorbing it. Zhuo Fan was struck dumb. "Master." The child was so sharp that he kneeled and cupped his hands. Zhuo Fan's eyebrow jumped, staring hard at him. "Master? Then you're my vital blood infant." "Yes, thank you so much, Master, for giving me such a strong body and offering me a vessel." The kid grinned and said in gratitude, "After the 5 sacred weapons combined, I became a sovereign weapon, and sovereign weapons can take human form. This is the reason behind my appearance. I shall never forget your grace and favor for as long as I live." The child kowtowed 3 times. Still out of it, Zhuo Fan mumbled to himself before snapping out of it, "A sovereign weapon taking human form, which means that you, as its sword spirit, are now this body's soul. I see, so that's why you were so eager to combine with the last sword. It was a way for you to become human." The child scratched his head, laughing at being found out. "To be honest, Master, humans are the ultimate beings of the world. All spirits aspire to take human form, to live as they do here, to dance, laugh, speak, and create. However, becoming human is fraught with dangers and perils, doubly so for spirits who are less sentient than even common spiritual beasts. I was fortunate enough that Master gathered the 5 sacred weapons and merged them, thereby creating a sovereign weapon, and giving me the means to become human. I have you to thank for all of this, master. The child kowtowed again, filled with gratitude. Fan pondered and then sighed. My vital blood infant you were once, but now we've grown apart, like our ties have been cut. No wonder you no longer need me to survive, as you now have a sovereign weapon for a vessel. Master, you have built me this body, making you my parent. How could I ever abandon you? Reading between the lines, the child puffed up his chest as he declared, henceforth, I am your sword, guarding you and never leaving you, just like old times. The only difference is that I can now exchange actual words with master. The child shone and turned into a pitch-black sword, floating towards Fan as it glittered. Unlike its previous form, when it had a trace from every sword, all signs of the other swords were removed by adding the fifth one. Fan paused before growing solemn. You have your own body and your fate is yours to decide. You have finally gained freedom after following me for so many years. Are you content with never wandering the great world outside? Just tell me the truth. We've been so close for so long, so I won't make it hard for you. Master, your cold treatment is because you don't believe me, or that you don't believe yourself. Whoosh tilde. The demonic sword turned back into a child, his gaze firm. Fan paused and found it to be the same look he had. I am master's vital blood infant and never had a sense of self, my survival depending on master. Only with time have I gained a personality within you, master. That means all my habits and quirks have come from you, even your heart. I am another master, while you are yourself. If master owes no favor, does that mean I do? Master is giving his all to help the Luo clan and I will give my all to be at your side every step of the way, nothing more nothing less. Fan jerked, giving him a long look. Everything this child knows comes from me. He's like another me. I am never one to be an ingrate and neither is he. He is a replica of my own personality, so what's there to doubt? He ceased to be my blood infant, but became my strongest companion, a loyal guardian sword. Fan smiled, then you will be my sword child, guarding my side. Yes, master. Sword child nodded with a bright smile. Fan nodded then paused, giving him an odd look. Sword child, would you still be loyal to me even with all the heinous and treacherous acts I'll be doing? Oh, that, like I said, I learned everything from you and I am just like you. You betray, then I betray. Or maybe, even if you might not let me go, I'll just off you and go my way. Then I'll do the same as you, resort to heinous acts to get what I want. It's that simple. SSS tilde. Fan gasped, his heart shuddering, then he patted his chest. All right, at least I'm a man of principle and won't stoop so low and wallow in filth. Or I wouldn't just be losing a divine sword, but gaining a powerful enemy. Fan walked out, his thoughts racing, trying to recall if he had ever betrayed himself. The kid better not have copied that as well and treat me the same. Talk about getting what I deserve. Sword child beamed behind him, though he was a little restless. Sword child, how is your strength? Before refining, I've been growing alongside you. If you got stronger, so did I, therefore I am a mid-stage spirit king like you. Oh, then do you know any special skills? Don't tell me you know all of mine as well. No, I can't use Divine Eye of the Void nor the Apocalyptic Thunderflame. Though I took all of the 5 arts you comprehended and combined them into a sixth. Sixth? The Apocalyptic Sword Art. Fan talked while walking. I need to be cautious, not only against enemies, but also taking precautions with myself. It's a must. The two left their room and met with the Luo clan's higher-ups waiting at the door. Seeing Fan come out with someone half his size left them stunned. Hasn't he been in there for 3 days? Why is there a child by his side? Did he make him himself? That's no laughing matter. Like 3 days are enough to bring a child into the world. It takes 10 months at the least. Knock it off. You think that's the problem, how a man birthed a child that grew up so fast? Maybe there's a hidden tunnel in his room through which the kid sneaked in? Not possible. I've been on guard every minute on the hour ever since Stewardship entered seclusion. There's not a fly going past me without my knowing, let alone a child. Everyone started a heated debate over this very crucial topic. Fan snickered. What are you all doing here? Did something happen? Stewardship. The world started shaking and the sky changed colors. We came to see if you were fine. Li Jingtian bowed. Zhuo Fan waved his concern away. I'm fine, so you can return. Our cultivation has been soaring recently and needs time to stabilize. After that, we have big things ahead of us. We know. They all nodded, with no plan on leaving. Their curious eyes glued to Sword Child catching on to their obvious curiosity. He made the introduction. He's my personal guard, the apocalyptic Sword Child. Personal guard? They all started. Steward Zhuo, you need a guard at your level? That means he can't be too far behind your strength. A pipsqueak. Yeah, Dad, if you really wanted one, pick me instead. Jiyu Santong gave Zhuo Fan an odd look. Bang. Zhuo Fan knocked on his head, chiding. You dare say that about others? Which 6-year-old, I wonder, lauded about in Tianyu like he owned it? How is that the same? I'm a Chilean. Jiyu Santong puffed up his chest in pride. Pa. A dark and thin palm landed on his shoulder. Young Master San, a spar will make everything clearer. Ha ha ha. Jiyu Santong shook, meeting a pair of black eyes and an evil smirk. Mommy, he has the same look as Dad. Is he some long-lost son out of wedlock? Jiyu Santong jumped in fright. Chapter 1186, Chilean vs. Sovereign Weapon. Chapter 1186, Chilean vs. Sovereign Weapon. Proofreader. Papatonks. Place your bets. No take-backs. The joy town that had been bathed in blood was once again filled with noise, only this time, it happened 100 miles outside of it. In a valley. Qiu Yanghai even had a stall set up as he shouted, "We're all friends here, people, so don't be shy and place your bets to make this place livelier. Our young Master San has a 1 to 3 odds, and on the other side we have Steward Zhuo's secret guard, the apocalyptic Sword Child, 1 to 5 odds. All bets are now open." People already gathered around and started taking out all their valuables. The stall was packed with pills, spiritual weapons, and all kinds of super rare ingredients. With a bang, a large scarlet wine jar creaked the stall's boards. Everyone knew then and there who was the weirdo behind such an exotic bet. Qiu Yanhai's face twitched, turning to the wine sword immortal's red nose. Senior, while I did say there's no limit, to make it livelier, but you can't just take out some jar of wine. That's like 10 spirit stones, tops. You call this 10 spirit stones? What you see right here is an aged and fine wine of the Murong clan. I made the trip to their home just to get it before coming with you all. It's always on high demand. The only reason I'm willing to part with such a great wine is seeing you all so fired up. Wine Sword Immortal patronized. Qiu Yanghai shook his head. Fine, I'll write down 10 sacred stones, on account of your seniority. Now who will you be betting on? Isn't it obvious? Steward Zhuo's young Master San. The Wine Sword Immortal chuckled. With all the action going on so far, everyone knows of Jiyu Santong's strength, no less than ours. And since we've gotten to the sacred domain, everyone reached the Spirit King stage while his power had to have improved as well. As for that Sword Child, he doesn't look like much, so I'd rather be on the safe side and stick with young Master San. Everyone nodded in approval. Rather than taking a risk on an unknown fighter, they'd play it safe by betting on Jiyu Santong. A zither then slammed on the stall, followed by a casual voice, I'm betting on Sword Child. Liu Mubai. The Wine Sword Immortal gave him an odd look. You know his strength to bet on him? Liu Mubai snickered as he shook his head. Nope, but for Zhuo Fan to make him a personal guard, that should be proof enough, right? In fact, I find young Master San awfully rash for taking on his challenge just like that. Knowing the enemy is what gets you victory. While he is an open book, the opponent is sealed shut. That's why the Sword Child has a higher chance at winning. Makes sense, exactly what I'd expect from the Zither Sword King who bid his time to exact revenge for his clan, calculative and observant. The others lit up and switched their bets from Jiyu Santong to the Sword Child. The Wine Sword Immortal licked his dried lips as he moved his wine jar as well. Liu Mubai, I'll trust you on this, but you better pay me back if I lose. Sure, and my zither is also among those bets. Ha ha ha. Liu Mubai didn't mind it, looking at the fighters on their peaks with a smile. Ever since the empire fell, he had felt so relieved having his wish granted and also brighter in his demeanor. On the side where there was constant cheering, Zhuo Fan, Luo Yunhai and the rest were standing on a hill and watching the two filled with battle lust. Luo Yunhai said, Big brother Zhuo, who is the Sword Child? Can he take on young Sanzi? He should. Zhuo Fan said, young Sanzi became an early-stage spirit king after coming to the sacred domain, but the sword child is my demonic sword transformed, with half my skills. In fact, he should have all my skills besides my eyes. He shouldn't lose out against young Sanzi. What? They all shouted, is that divine sword? Sure is, and precisely because he's not human, but a spirit in a sword, we can't see his cultivation. Zhuo Fan nodded, in his words, he's the same as me, a mid-stage spirit king. As for his strength, we'll just have to wait and see. Letting young Sanzi fight is the perfect chance. The others nodded, with Chaoa sadly staring at Jiyu Santong. Brother, do be careful, the kid is father's sword and not human. In a fight between a divine sword and sacred beast, victory might not be so easy. Jiyu Santong was totally in the dark about his opponent's nature, judging him by his young appearance, that he was still too young. If he's a sacred beast, his form means he's not matured yet. If he's a human, then that makes him weak as a lamb. So he boasted, kid, we're on the same side, so I'll give you the chance to walk away. I won't judge you for it, nor make it hard on you, for father. Young Sanzi, you're as cocky as ever. The sword child smirked, even as a sacred beast, you're now in sacred domain and only an adolescent. There are plenty of people that can kill you. I'll just help father by giving you a fair warning, so the next time you go out, you'll be a bit cautious and not lose your life, eh? Jiyu Santong shook, giving him an odd look. Is he really Dad's son? His tone, his style, his arrogance, they're practically the same. All the others gave Zhuo Fan strange looks. Steward Zhuo, that's a miniature version of you, in child form. Zhuo Fan smiled. The sword child had taken everything from me, resembling me more than a son. Jiyu Santong saw no reaction from Zhuo Fan and made up his mind. It doesn't look like the kid is close to Dad, and I can set him straight. He put on a mean face and smirked. I could accept it coming from Dad, but from a pipsqueak. It sounds more like a taunt. We'll see who beats who soon enough. Jiyu Santong shot forth and his fist glowed scarlet as he struck at Sword Child. Though it was obvious there was some restraint, leaving a third of his strength behind. Though Jiyu Santong still thought it excessive and brought it down to just half his strength, young Master San, just let loose and come at me with everything. I can easily take it. The Sword Child smirked, his eyes set as a red glow shot from his finger and at Jiyu Santong's fist whoosh tilde. A sword wave sword it clashed with Jiyu Santong's first, letting out a deafening boom. Jiyu Santong shuddered all over and got pushed back 100 meters. His gaze now horrified as he turned to Sword Child, soaring sword art, and at peak strength. How do you have such power? Only Dad can unleash it to this level. He inherited Steward Zhuo's sword skills fully, worthy of being his sword. Shangguan Feixiong's eyes shook in admiration. Zhuo Fan grinned. He was connected with me, body and mind till now. It's normal to know the 5 sword arts. And from what he told me, he also learned a 6th one. Now that's something I'd like to see. 6th. Shangguan Feixiong and the others nodded. Right, with Steward Zhuo learning the sword arts to the peak, his divine sword spirit has to be even sharper, able to combine the 5 arts. Now I'm also looking forward to seeing it, ha ha ha. They all laughed, looking eager as the battle unfolded at the betting stall. All those who were about to bet on Jiyu Santong shifted to the other guy. Qiu Yanghai cursed, what do you think you're doing? Have you no ethics? Saying you'd take it and leave it, but now that young Master San is lacking, you switch tunes? Fat chance. Damn it, I only lost that exchange and now they've all lost their faith in me. How mortifying, I got to up my game. Jiyu Santong's face twitched hearing Elder Qiu's shouts, anger getting to him as he shot for Sword Child. Lousy brat, I was going easy on you, but no more. Get ready, ha ha ha. Jiyu Santong's hands shook and struck at the air boom. It felt like the world was collapsing as the air warped from all the shaking. It got so strong, black scars appeared in space, spreading fast towards the Sword Child. The cracking sounds jarring to the ears, the audience gasped. The space fractured. Doesn't that mean letting a scar touch you would tear you to pieces? This is too much. Jiyu Santong's past attempt with this move only warped the air. Now though, he was at the Spirit King level and could warp space. Space was the place where everything existed. By rupturing it, Then the space being occupied would be torn to shreds. Steward Zhuo, it's turning deadly. Everyone turned to Zhuo Fan. He was still just looking with a smile. The kid ain't human, making no difference even if the sky got torn apart. The others exclaimed, but of course, he's a divine sword. The space rupturing won't affect him. Chapter 1187, Fatality. Chapter 1187, Fatality. Proofreader, Papatonks. Condense. The spatial crack struck at the sword child like a viper, the blackness therein promising to swallow him whole. Sword child couldn't care less, evident by his smirk, as he shouted and flicked his hand. A cold wind blew and the encroaching scars slowly lost their speed until they froze in place, with a trace of ice even revealed on them. Gu Santong gasped, heaven-sealing sword art? Ha ha ha, yes, I am Master's sword. Any sword art he knows, I know. That's why, young Master San, feel free to come at me with everything. The sword child smiled, finally going for Gu Santong. He waved a finger and flames exploded into an inferno. The black gaps in space merged with the flames and slowly healed. With the path cleared between the two, the sword child had an easy time shooting for Gu Santong's face to poke him with a crackling finger. Gu Santong's face twitched and stepped back while using his fist to defend, decimating sword art and sundering sword art. How is it you know all my dad's 5 sword arts to perfection? No son could ever do so much. Who are you? I told you, I'm Master's sword. Bam! Gu Santong unleashed his full power at long last, his fist sending a scarlet wave that struck at the purple thundersword wave. The intense clash had crushed 40 mountains around the area to dust. Gu Santong shuddered, forced to step back from the aftermath. The sword child laughed as the shock wave came, pointing at Gu Santong. I am a divine sword in body, not of flesh and blood. I don't fear my insides getting jolted, not when I haven't got any. That's where a sacred beast differs from me, vaulting sword, dragon saw. With a draconic cry, the sword child pressed his advantage, sending another sword wave with his finger. This time, Gu Santong barely got himself steady to brace for impact. All he could do, in the end, was punch back. Bam! Gu Santong's hasty punch lacked his full power and was once again pushed back. The sword child smiled, standing still. Most cultivators would try to settle the rattling inside them before the damage mounts instead of unleashing strikes so fast. I don't have such a problem. I could hound you and kill you in just 10 moves, all while you couldn't even defend. The outcome is clear and there's no point of fighting. Ha ha ha. What a deadly sword. The audience gasped in shock. Steward Zhuo, a humanoid divine sword, is so dangerous, bereft of weaknesses. His body is even stronger than a sacred beast, unheard of. Zhuo Fan nodded. Yeah, even I didn't think young Sanzi would lose so fast. That's why the sword child was so thankful for me refining him such a body. As a divine sword, it's truly godlike. I wonder if there's anything out there that can hold him back. Zhuo Fan mused. He has everything I have, except for the eyes. Everyone was grave. The sword child is simply monstrous. But what if he turns on us? He called himself Zhuo Fan's sword, but that was a weapon in the end, one that had no will but to follow its master's intent, but with the kid as he is. Steward Zhuo, he's got your smugness to a T. Lung Wuchang pointed out, though he looks rather young, and youngsters tend to have overblown egos. Zhuo Fan nodded. Yes, he's just like me. Only that in my early years I was restrained, more ruthless than brash. He has no constraints, and while he is a second me, we will most likely walk different paths, and he needs someone to watch over him. Brilliant, Steward Zhuo. Lung Wuchang nodded. Zhuo Fan's eyes turned frosty as he observed the fight. Gu Santong was a powder keg ready to pop from being pushed around so much. He roared then and, in a flash of red, the image of a 300-meter Chileen appeared overhead. Its roar shaking the world. The Spirit Kings felt their hearts seize from shock. Young Master San wants to go all out, making everything shake. Can the sword child take it? I'll just bet this wine jar on young Master San. Wine Sword Immortal got shocked as well and switched his bet again, with many others following him. Only Liu Mubai and a few others were relaxed. Wine Sword Immortal, you're gonna be sorry. Check out the sword child's look. Wine Sword Immortal turned and only now noticed that despite Gu Santong raging and roaring, the sword child held nothing but disdain in his eyes. Young Master San, since you don't know a helping hand when you see one, you leave me no choice. The sword child's eyes shone and raised a finger. A black power gathered, you went all out, so you should have a look at my sixth sword art, apocalyptic sword strength. The prideful Jiyu Santong's eyes shook, unable to take the other's naked taunt. He roared and his power surged before he punched with both fists. Lousy brat, have a taste of this, upheaval, a soaring Chilean's might. The piercing howl rang in everyone's ears as the Chilean image opened its maw. It then shot for the sword child with fury burning in its eyes, ready to burn the world if it had to come on. The sword child snickered, the black sword wave ready as he struck Hutilda. It was anticlimactic how plain it was launched, with no fuss, like a breeze tracing the air. The sword wave, however, erased everything in its path, even the dust. From existence the sword wave looked flimsy by all accounts, yet it struck fear in the hearts of all who watched. It was not total destruction and explosiveness that was scary, but the silent yet decimating moves that could take lives without leaving a sign. Zhuo Fan was out for 2 seconds before he came to and understood the gap between the fighters. Sword child, stop this right now. Too little, too late. The black sword wave reached young San's Chilean image, but there was no bang, not even a fizzle. The black wave passed through the image, making it pause before fading away. Purged from this world, young Sanzi coughed blood at the backlash, looking pale, but the black wave was coming with death behind it. Young Sanzi panicked, everyone panicked, this is fatality. Sword child, didn't you hear me? I told you to stop. Zhuo Fan shouted in anger. Sword child's brow shook and gave a cruel smile at the panicked face, with no intention of stopping Tilda. The space started warping then, with the sword child at its center. He looked back at Zhuo Fan with a frown, only to see his cold gaze and the 7 golden halos in his right eye. Master, don't. Divine Eye of the Void 7th stage, Void Seal. Zhuo Fan muttered whoosh tilde. The space contracted, and the sword child shook as his eyes went blank and collapsed. He turned back into the pitch-black sword, with a dim glow. It showed no signs of being alive. The black sword wave coming at Jiyu Santong faded away just in time as well, making him breathe easier for having escaped with his life. That strike is deadly, no less than Dad's apocalyptic thunderflame. Chapter 1188, Advancing Again. Chapter 1188, Advancing Again. Proofreader, Papatonks. Thump tilde. Zhuo Fan walked over to the apocalyptic sword and picked it up with a sigh. You really are me, but only the young me, twisted, conceited and obnoxious. Ha ha ha, foolish boy, you thought by having a sovereign weapon body, I couldn't take you on? The 5 divine swords were affected by the divine eye of the void, and this form isn't any different. Think long and hard about this. Zhuo Fan made a seal and the demonic sword entered his body. And you, young Sanzi, there's always someone better than you out there. This will be your lesson. Zhuo Fan walked to Jiyu Santong and warned. Jiyu Santong hung his head, giving a heavy nod. I know, Dad. I won't be as arrogant again. You've said that 100 times already. Why would I believe you this time? Ha ha ha, you'll learn the more you suffer. Zhuo Fan shook his head. The others came over and bowed. Steward Zhuo, how will you handle the sword child? He's a loose cannon. I'll handle it, don't worry. Zhuo Fan soothed their fears. With these few days of peace, we've found a temporary residence in the sacred domain. To grow bigger, however, we must first take down one of the 8 emperors. That being said, I'll be setting out to get a feel of the sacred domain's current situation to remove all unknowns. Wait for my message and be ready to move. Won't it be too dangerous to go alone? Yeah, I'll come with you. Luo Yunchang spoke up. With Barley Yuyu stepping forth, Zhuo Fan calmed them down. It's fine. The sacred domain is my world. I know it better than any of you. I have enough strength to survive even an encounter with an emperor. Rest assured that I'll be all right. Shuonger, come over for a minute. Zhuo Fan called Yun Shuang to remain after the others were now at ease, and whispered, Did you finish what I asked you to do? Did you divine her location? Yun Shuang's brow shook. For some reason, I am blind to Sister Qingqing's fate, just like yours. Patriarch said that you lost something. Did you give it to her? Can it hide one's fate? The sovereign path. Zhuo Fan squinted and asked ardently, how else am I supposed to find her? Where do I start searching the big sacred domain without so much as a clue? Shuanga bit her lip. Forgive me for being unable to help, but what? You alone can find her. Me? Yeah. I know nothing of reading the stars. Didn't Patriarch give you something? It will guide you towards what or who you want to find. Slightly explained, Patriarch also mentioned that what you're looking for is yours. The two of you would be drawn to each other. By using the item, you'll find it and Sister Qing Cheng. Zhuo Fan thought for a bit and nodded. I see, Sovereign Yun gave me the black sphere for this purpose. But how do I use it? Figure it out yourself. I surely don't know. Yun Shuang shrugged. Zhuo Fan sighed and nodded, his eyes blazing with determination. I'll try it as I go. Now I need to get away so the fear of the sword child caused will fade. I must also teach that boy some manners. Zhuo Fan cupped his hands to her and the rest, leaving the others, gave him a respectful goodbye as well, while only a red-nosed old man just wouldn't let go of a jar of wine, crying like his parents were dead. Like an old woman, my precious wine, I could never leave you. How could my foolproof mind ever conceive the risk of betting on Jiu Santong? Senior, betting is business. You made the wrong wager, so I can't help you. Now let go. The wine sword immortal wailed like a child while Qiu Yanghai fought to try and pry the drunkard's fingers from the jar. With their gap in cultivation, no amount of effort helped in the end. Zhuo Fan's face twitched and gave the two geezers a long look. What was I thinking bringing these fools? Zhuo Fan left as the rest sent him off. After a good distance, he looked around and found a deserted cave, setting up an array to hide himself as he took out Sovereign Yun's black orb. Looking into the sacred domain situation was more of a whim, while finding Chu Qingcheng was his real goal. He couldn't have said that to the guys, since they came with him to a new world to settle down, not help him find his woman. How could their de facto leader ever do such a petty and irresponsible thing? When they found out he was up to no good, going on a hike, they might just as well go out and meet their fortune elsewhere. A remarkable leader had to, at all times, inspire fairness and grandeur. As for looking after my family and other private stuff, that goes behind doors, hey. Taking out the black orb, Zhuo Fan stared hard. Qing Cheng, where are you? And how do you start this thing anyway? Sovereign Yun, what a guy, giving me the tools but not the manual. Where do I even start? Zhuo Fan whined as he stared deep into the orb. His gaze grew hazy and the darkness inside the orb swirled, pulling him in. Hutilda. Zhuo Fan shuddered and his eyes went black. He plopped on the ground with eyes wide open, coming to his senses the next moment, only to find himself surrounded by stars in a black space. Stars flew by him so close, he could reach them with his hands. Where am I? What am I doing here? Zhuo Fan jerked around and then recalled, Sovereign Yun's place was the same. My mind must have entered the orb. Is this how you use the treasure? But how am I supposed to find her now? Zhuo Fan frowned, looking up at the glittering stars in doubt while he paced around in thought. Yun clan's holy maiden can read the heavens through the stars. Sovereign Yun reads mortals' fate through the stars as well. Maybe to find Qing Cheng I have to understand the stars' motions. Should I go to Shuanga for tips? But it looks more like a trait than an art. Yun clan's leader is the only one able to do it. What to do? Zhuo Fan stared at the sky. In a dilemma, his face began slacking as he took in the stars' glows, noticing something peculiar. Kid, humans are the ultimate beings of the world, the basic of all other things. Humans hold 360 small cosmoses within that work in tune with the universe. Each person has a protector star. When you observe the skies, you are in fact looking at their fate. Your eyes do not see the starry night sky, but the universe's cycle of reincarnation. To find what you seek, use your heart and you will grasp it. An aged voice whispered in his ears, making his heart jump and focus harder on the stars. Zhuo Fan stared blankly, ignoring everything, time itself, as he gazed upon the stars and their movements. His yuan qi began moving along with the stars, in strange and baffling patterns. At one point, he realized the stars melded with him. Looking at the stars was like looking at his body's innards. The flow of blood, breathing, all made his organs shake. Understanding it all, I want to find Qing Cheng. As he grasped everything, his heart throbbed and the stars followed his wish. His senses perceived as the brightest 9 stars formed a line, shooting eastward. 9 stars in a row, deceiving the heavens and changing fate, hidden from a sovereign's power. She's in the east. Zhuo Fan lit up and shook awake. He got up and found the black orb at his side, putting it away. Zhuo Fan was in high spirits as he shot out of the cave. He noticed it was dark then, with the stars in the sky being the same ones he saw in the orb, and the brightest 9 forming a line. Was it the black orb affecting the stars, or did they reflect what was in the black orb? Or maybe Zhuo Fan was controlling them? Confused, Zhuo Fan felt stunned. Hot damn, I advanced again. I'm now a late-stage spirit king. What's more important was that his surface cultivation level had dropped to the first layer of bone tempering stage. My heart grew once more. Chapter 1189, The Ruby Cloud Sect. Chapter 1189, The Ruby Cloud Sect. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh tilde. Beneath the sunny and clear sky, Zhuo Fan darted across the land, his eyes holding a strange light as he used the stars to be his guide. Glancing at the sky, he squinted and smiled. He was getting close to the last of 9 stars position, close to the one he wished to see. Zhuo Fan got excited. Ever since he saw the stars inside the black orb, he felt odd, like there was something connecting him with every little thing in the world. He could even see the stars in broad daylight. Senior sister, Master had us take the purple gold glazed cup and meet up with senior aunt's group in Mist City for a treasure competition, to make sure we get our hands on the map to the Nether Sea. But I just don't feel right leaving junior sister behind all by herself. And why not? That dumb girl is as plain of talent as she is of strength. Not just I, but even all of you are stronger than her. What's the point in bringing a dead weight? She's just relying on Master's favor to come along and get a share, no matter how much in the wrong she is. But Master said so. Quiet. That sickening girl must have strung Master along with her sweet words. All she's good at is sucking up. There's no way I'm about to share credit for such an important mission with her. We'll just say she was too slow and couldn't keep up. Their nagging echoed through the thick forest, reaching Zhuo Fan's sharp ears. Nether Sea? Isn't that the Nether Sovereign's place? Although I've caught a glimpse of it in the Mortal Domain's world wind tunnels, I had no idea how to enter it. But could such a map be real? Zhuo Fan paused and rushed over to the forest. He got his clothes in order and casually walked through the vegetation. Rustle tilde. Who's there? A sharp cry came as 6 sharp swords glinted as they shot for the bush. Zhuo Fan felt their bloodthirst before he saw their faces. Zhuo Fan snickered, but still faked panic. Wait. I lost my way and don't mean any harm. Zhuo Fan rushed out of the bush, shaking in fear. Before him were 6 pretty girls, all perfect beauties in their own right, yet their cold eyes ruined the image. They sized him up and noticed him in the bone tempering stage. They sighed with ease, and the leader, their senior sister, mocked. You're so old yet only in the bone tempering stage? Never knew someone like you existed in sacred domain. Humph, so weak and yet you're wandering around a forest? A spiritual beast might pounce on you at any time and leave only your bones behind. Very true, I also know this is dangerous, but I have to earn a living. There's nothing else I can do besides picking herbs, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan gave a silly laugh, his face foolish as his sharp eye inspected their cultivation. Oh, 3 spirit kings, 1 mid-stage, 2 early stage, with the rest being at peak Genesis stage. Quite a strong team. Zhuo Fan snickered and bowed again, pretending to be confused. Mrs., may I ask you what is up ahead? I've been in this forest for 3 months, unable to come out. A mere bone tempering cultivator got what he deserves being stuck out here when you can't even fly. The senior sister relished in his predicament, with the other girls shooting him mocking smiles. She said again, feeling proud for some reason, Boy, you're better off turning back before you meet your end in this forest. And don't go any further, lest you want a painful death. Why? Ahead is the Ruby Cloud Sect. The senior sister sneered. Zhuo Fan exclaimed, his face sinking. I was wondering why this place felt familiar. It turns out to be close to the Ruby Cloud Sect. Humph, I've been following the 9 stars for so many months, ignoring the places I pass, also I can find my wife. Oblivious to his reaction, or better yet, never even registering anything about Zhuo Fan's person, the senior sister arched her slim eyebrow and kept on patronizing him. You must have heard as well of my sect's rules. Any man that dare come uninvited is to have a fate worse than death. Dying in a spiritual beast's mouth is heaven compared to that. So be smart and get lost, humph. Haha, you think I don't know that? Who doesn't know of those old biddies and their menopause? Zhuo Fan snickered inside, showing a weird smile on the outside. Does that mean you're all Ruby Cloud Sect disciples? Yes, scared now? The 6 girls thrusted their chest out in pride, their eyes holding nothing but loathing. We're on a mission right now, and even though we're on a tight schedule, you should be honored for us to look after a nobody like you. If you had met our master, hey. Clang. Zhuo Fan's smirk grew wider, clenching his fists. If I really had met your master, it would have been really bad indeed. As for you. Zhuo Fan's Chelene arm gave a cold aura. Senior sister, please wait up. A gentle voice sounded, and a girl of around 20, dressed in white, huffed as she entered their sights. Just another corpse. Zhuo Fan huffed inside. The others were annoyed. How did this girl even follow us? She's worse than a ghost. Senior sister. The girl giggled as she landed on the leader's side. Why didn't you wait for me and went ahead? I could hardly keep up. The senior sister rolled her eyes in disdain. Junior sister, the road is dangerous and we didn't want you to tire and meet with danger. You should go back. Master cares for you so much and won't punish you for returning. Just say that I told you so. Senior sister, don't say that. We're close sisters, and I can help you when you're in trouble. It's also my very first mission outside the sect. I can't just fail it. The girl was quite lively, totally oblivious to her senior sister's disdain. She was like a sheep raised in the pen that had never braved the dangers of the wild outdoors. Zhuo Fan snickered, giving her a long look. Your senior sisters only think of you when they say you should stay in the sect. The world is fraught with dangers, ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan clenched a fist behind him, his eyes gleaming coldly. Hey, who are you? You can also tell they're nice to me. With a pure smile, the girl turned to Zhuo Fan. Zhuo Fan held the same odd smile as he nodded. Yes, they're so nice to send you to hell, but now I see you came for death yourself. Ooh. Zhuo Fan shuddered just then, looking deep in the girl's eyes, and felt his heart racing. She's really plain, no amazing beauty, but delicate and innocent. Those eyes gave him a familiar feeling. The girl looked into his eyes at the same time, lost for a moment. Have we met before? What is your name? Zhuo Fan's heart jumped. Ching Cheng. The girl spoke without hesitation, considering Zhuo Fan as one of her friends on the spot. Chu Ching Cheng. Zhuo Fan froze as he took her in fully and muttered like in a dream. Chu Ching Cheng, still the same name. His numb mind looked in the distance, then turned to the girl's lost eyes, the fist behind relaxing as he smiled. Ching Cheng, I found you at last. The rough hands held Chu Ching Cheng's soft cheeks, his eyes looking only at her and appreciating her for who she was with a soft gaze. Chu Ching Cheng showed no revulsion to this stranger. She felt an odd sensation inside, like she knew this man but could not recognize him. Chapter 1190, You Have to Be Mine. Chapter 1190, You Have to Be Mine. Proofreader, Papa Tonks. Bam! Zhuo Fan drew closer as he held that cute face, but then a palm sent him flying and into the ground. Chu Ching Cheng jumped and blushed hard as she recalled what happened. Damn punk, you got some nerve going after a Ruby Cloud Sect disciple. You must have a death wish. The senior sister started cursing at Zhuo Fan on the ground, about to stomp on his legs for good measure. Chu Ching Cheng saw it and managed to stop her. Heavens damn it, nosy crow. Zhuo Fan's brow twitched as his anger boiled. The couple finally got together after so many years, but they couldn't even enjoy the reunion as the retarded biddy had to ruin it. Zhuo Fan wanted nothing more than to flatten them to a gooey mush. The only thing holding him back was knowing Chu Ching Cheng was from Ruby Cloud Sect. So he took a deep breath to bottle the rage. It just wouldn't do for the husband to waste his wife's besties in a fit of fury. Why did Chu Ching Cheng end up appearing in Ruby Cloud Sect of all places? Checking the 9 stars direction and recalling the familiar feeling he got from this girl, Zhuo Fan was certain beyond any shadow of a doubt that she was Ching Cheng, and not just in name either. Making a monumental effort to restrain himself, Zhuo Fan put on a pained look as he crawled to his feet. He saw the angry shrews and raised his hands in a rush to explain. Sisters, please, the striking similarity young miss has with my late younger sister made me lose myself in emotions. It won't happen again next time. Next time? You think you can just touch a lady's face? The senior sister was outraged, about to smash him into the ground again, but Chu Ching Cheng jumped in. Senior sister, please, He must have loved his sister dearly and didn't know that he was doing something improper. It wasn't with intention, so please don't blame him. Humph, blame him? For what? It wasn't me who he was hitting on anyway. Since you don't care, why should I? The senior sister flicked her sleeve with a snarl, flying away with her other sisters. Let's just go and not waste time with that fool. She deserves being taken advantage of for falling for a rotten man's lies. Senior sister. Chu Ching Cheng cried after her, but the women were gone, and she hung her head sadly. She then blinked her big bright eyes at Shuo Fan. Did you do that because I looked like your little sister, or was it on purpose? Under her hopeful and intense gaze, Shuo Fan knew she was looking for comfort, to justify her act of kindness. It would have been so much easier to just nod and play along while he didn't mind with others. Towards Ching Cheng, he could lie. Now that the extras were gone from butting in, he could come clean. No, I really couldn't help myself, but not because of my little sister, since I don't have one. It's because of my lover. What? Chu Ching Cheng went red on the spot, then she glared before turning to leave. I was wrong about you, thinking you were nice, but it turns out you're just like senior sister said. You did it to take advantage of me and end up making them call me a fool. Chu Ching Cheng looked hurt, following after the women when Shuo Fan shouted, Wait. What now? If you try anything, you'll be sorry. Chu Ching Cheng paused, then looked back at him hesitantly and threatened. Her tone only made Shuo Fan chuckle. She's in Genesis stage and I'm in bone tempering stage, by all appearances, yet she is using that shy tone? How is that normal? Shuo Fan shook his head, giving her a long and deep stare. Miss, I was not toying with you, nor did I try to take advantage of you. It's truly because I see you as my lover. My wife died and seeing you resemble her, emotions overwhelmed me. Chu Ching Cheng started, looking in Shuo Fan's honest gaze and blushed as she gave a weak nod. You must really love your wife. Then I won't hold you to what happened. The naive young miss turned around, wanting to leave with the matter settled. Wait. What is it this time? Chu Ching Cheng paused and looked back curiously. Shuo Fan sighed. Miss Chu, I can tell you're a good person. Could you do me a little favor? I got lost in this forest and could you give me a lift? Take you with me? You can't. I guess I can. She looked conflicted, but against Shuo Fan's request, she just couldn't find it in her to refuse. She shyly got to Shuo Fan's side and looked to see if the coast was clear before she reached out around his waist. I'll fly you out, Jay, just don't move. Chu Ching Cheng jumped and they were in the air. Shuo Fan took this moment to reach around her waist. Chu Ching Cheng panicked and blushed harder. What are you doing? Hands off. Miss, I'm a bone tempering cultivator and I'm scared for my first time flying. With a wide grin, Shuo Fan took all the advantage he could. Chu Ching Cheng was left succumbing to his sly hand and focused on making the trip as short as possible. At one point, Shuo Fan's head up and leaned on the girl's shoulder. Chu Ching Cheng jerked and cried again. What are you leaning on me for? First time flying is scary. Shuo Fan smiled wider, to which Chu Ching Cheng gaped. She was simply powerless against Shuo Fan's slick tactics and reasoning. Despite it all, she still couldn't find a reason to hate him, taking a deep breath to warn instead, Hey, have some manners. Try anything again and I'll drop you. This time Shuo Fan went for the kill, moving from simply leaning on her shoulder to hugging outright. Chu Ching Cheng's heart was in chaos, her cheeks steaming from how red they were. What are you doing? Let me go. No, I'm scared of falling. Closing his eyes, Shuo Fan was at peace holding the one person he hadn't seen in 100 years. He was too content to let go. Chu Ching Cheng was frantic and landed on the ground before someone saw them. She could never let her senior sisters see her like this. It was too damn mortifying. Whoosh tilde. The two touched down, with Shuo Fan holding onto her like an octopus. Chu Ching Cheng's face twitched and snapped. Hey, we're on the ground, now get off. No, you're lying. We're definitely in the air and I won't fall for it. Hey. The young miss had met the biggest rogue of them all, with the thickest skin ever, as he used every trick to stay glued to her. Chu Ching Cheng squinted and huffed before she used force, throwing Shuo Fan off, hard. He landed on the ground with a bang. Chu Ching Cheng glared. You definitely took advantage this time and you dare lie to me? Young Miss Chu. Shuo Fan dusted his clothes before he smiled. Before I answer, would you answer me 2 questions first? Is there anyone you fancy? Zhuofan went right ahead before she could reply. Chu Qingcheng shook her head. Zhuofan smiled. Are you engaged? Chu Qingcheng started, then shook her head. Why is he asking me this? Great. Zhuofan got the answers he wanted and laughed, coming before Chu Qingcheng and reached out to hug her close as he looked longingly at her. Now I'll answer yours. I did it on purpose, because I like you. You have to be mine. Dong. Chu Qingcheng's mind blanked out, her eyes hazy. What on earth is going on? How am I yours just like that? She finally reacted after a few long moments and shoved him. You're crazy. We only met a couple hours ago and I have no idea who you are. I am Zhuofan. There, now we're no strangers, Qingcheng. Come with me. As if. I am a Ruby Cloud sect disciple. When it comes to marriage, I have to tell my master. An old crow meddling in my affairs. Qingcheng, come with me. No one can stop us. Zhuofan shouted, his voice filled with power. Chapter 1191, Annihilating. Chapter 1191, Annihilating. Proofreader. Papatonks. Chu Qingcheng gave him a long look, her eyes twitching. She then shook her head and put on a cold face as she walked away. Do you have any idea who my master is, you lunatic? Braggart. I know, one of the 8 emperors, the one called Enchanting Empress, but ever since demonic energy had affected her hard in the battle at 9 Serenity's tomb, she aged. That's why we call her the Crone Empress. Zhuofan's eyes shone. Qingcheng, come with me and I promise the biddy won't ever get to you. Chu Qingcheng covered her ears and shook her head. Be silent. Don't sully my master's name. Just who do you think you are? Those senior sisters of mine are enough to flick the life out of you, let alone master. If you care for your life, stop talking. Not even I can save you then. Save me. Zhuofan was touched, beaming. Qingcheng, you take my side before that biddy? That means you do care about me. So why not come with me? Chu Qingcheng hesitated. Me and my big mouth. Just what was with her? Why did she blurt that out? She barely even knew the guy, only finding out his name just now her heart was conflicted, while her face icy, glaring back. There'd be no point in the end, not when you're using me to replace your wife. This isn't love. There's no such thing as love at first sight. Now go, I've taken you out of the forest so you're safe. Qingcheng, you have to believe me. You are my wife, not a substitute. You and her are one and the same. Zhuofan spoke with determination. Chu Qingcheng rolled her eyes, laughing. Sure, then chase me. We'll talk again when you catch me. Chu Qingcheng pulled a smug look, like she outsmarted him, then flew away. Zhuofan smirked. Dear me, if you don't take me flying, I'll just have to do it myself. Everyone says, flying as a couple is so much better, while flying alone is so boring, ha ha ha. Zhuofan had no trouble going after her, treating it like a game. An hour later, Chu Qingcheng was rushing in her senior sister's direction, but having caught no sight of them for so long began to weigh on her mind. I'm not strong enough to keep up, and with that delay I'll never catch up. Why can't they just wait for me? Fang Minute, as the head senior sister of Ruby Cloud sect, you should be showing at least some remorse seeing your fellow sisters in peril instead of ignoring their fate. Hand over purple gold glazed cup, or else. A coarse laugh echoed across the sky, startling Chu Qingcheng. Looking over, she noticed in the distance her fellow sisters surrounded by 24 men in black. 5 of them were even late-stage spirit kings. As for her sisters, all were injured, with 5 taken prisoners and only her head senior sister barely hanging on. Chu Qingcheng shot straight for them, striking with a cold palm at the man's chest. How dare you harm my senior sister? Bam! The man snickered and pointed 2 fingers at her. The power between the fingers shot through her cold aura and into her body. Chu Qingcheng coughed blood, collapsing on the spot. Ha ha ha, the broads of Ruby Cloud sect are so mighty, for even a 7th-layer Genesis cultivator to strike me, a peak Genesis cultivator. What a moron. The guy mocked and his team laughed. Fang Minute shook her head, glaring at Chu Qingcheng. You fool, you saw us surrounded, but instead of going to the sect for help, you charged right in? You thought your meager skill was going to save the day. Senior sister, Chu Qingcheng hung her head low, the words wounding her. Fang Minute scoffed and shouted at the men in black, arrogant bastards, you knew we're from Ruby Cloud sect yet you still came for us? You've just signed your death warrant. Hey, why do you think we're masked? The leading late-stage Spirit King stepped forward and shouted, "We'd much rather avoid having the Crone Empress hounding us till the end of days. If you want to live past today, hand it over and we'll let you go. When we get violent, at the end there's just us, men, and you, girls, ha ha ha." The others laughed, showing greedy smiles. Fang Minute grounded her teeth, with the other girls putting a tough front when they were all afraid of those creepy smiles. These filthy mongrels don't care. Hesitating, Fang Minute was put on the spot. By handing it over, the blame of failure would fall entirely on her. But if she didn't, they would never be able to live with themselves after today. Fang Minute was on the fence, weighing her position in the sect or her future. Her eyes wandered back to the depressed Chu Qingcheng and lit up. She shot before her and threw a prismatic cup to her junior sister. "Take this and run. I'll hold them off. You can't let me down, senior sister. Run." Fang Minute shouted again, looking ready to die for the cause. Chu Qingcheng sniffed and nodded. She took the treasure and ran. She would give her life to protect it, to repay all her senior sister's trust in her. The men in black saw her run off and shouted, "Girl, give it here if you don't want a really good time." Whoosh tilde. The men ignored the other girls and shot after Chu Qingcheng. Fang Minute gave a token of resistance, looking at the frail figure almost overrun with men with a creepy grin. "Girl, get back here." Boom. A powerful palm struck at Chu Qingcheng from behind. She tensed up and noticed him to be the peak Genesis expert she went after before. Her heart sank despite the peril and certain doom. She was set to carry on her sister's mission. Chu Qingcheng gnashed her teeth and held the cup tight with one hand, while using the other to launch an attack. In reply, the man in black snickered, "Ha ha ha, Missy, you're still acting tough after that defeat? Die." Bam. All they knew was that the guy's power had the clear advantage. Yet as the two of them clashed, the man in black up and got pulverized into a bloody mist, his very trace gone from this world. The other chasers halted on the spot, looking dumbstruck. No way. How can a 7th layer Genesis cultivator be that much stronger than a peak one to kill him in one shot? Why the hell was she hurt in the first place then? Was it to bait us? The Ruby Cloud sect disciples blinked in disbelief. They knew all too well about their little junior sister's strength, and it was clearly nowhere near that level. That guy was a peak Genesis expert, only beneath a Spirit King. They all had suffered at his blows, yet now, everyone was dumbstruck, even Chu Qingcheng, staring from her palm to the bloody mist in shock. Was my palm that strong? This never happened before. None noticed a shadow lurking in a bush just off from the conflict, watching. An eye was particularly eye-catching, shining in 8 golden rings, divine eye of the void 8th stage. Blink. Zhuo Fan muttered as he put away the fingers, his smile cold, sending a move through space, right in front of the opponent before they react. Is in the realm of a Spirit King's spatial control skill, catching anyone off guard. Ha ha ha. Zhuo Fan glanced at the stunned Fang Minute, his face hard. This woman knew Qingcheng couldn't handle them yet still handed over the treasure and faked holding them. What a twisted heart. She did it to save her skin and shirk responsibility for failure, letting Qingcheng take the fall. For messing with my wife, her fate is death. Qingcheng might look innocent as a lily now, but her man ain't just going to turn the other cheek. Chapter 1192, Killing a Spirit King. Chapter 1192, Killing a Spirit King. Proofreader, Papatonks. Girl, you've been holding out on me. Once the reality of the situation sank in, an aged man in black shot forth as he released his deadly aura. Never would I imagine that I'd have to step in against some lousy girls. Now it's time for you to join my brother. The man raised his hand and the air around Chu Qingcheng warped. Chu Qingcheng cried out, "A Spirit King. I may be at the early stage, but I'm a Spirit King nonetheless. Against a 7th layer Genesis cultivator like you, it's more than enough. You can hide as much power as you want, but it still won't touch upon a Spirit King's might. Ha ha ha." The man's eyes shone with pride. Chu Qingcheng's face grew hard, her heart sinking as she took out a 12th grade spiritual sword as she stood on high alert to all movement around her. However, the trembling gave her unsettled mind away. Deep down she knew an attack could come from anywhere, especially since she was up against a Spirit King, who could control the space around her. What was she to do? She was wound tighter than a violin, tense and anxious. The men in black snickered at her being so jumpy. The Spirit King laughed and grabbed, "Say goodnight, girl." Whoosh tilde. The space shifted just then and a rain of arrows launched for Chu Ching Cheng. She panicked, her face paling. A Spirit King could attack out of the blue, giving her no time to react. She clutched the spiritual sword harder, feeling like she was about to fall. Ching Cheng. Her fellow sisters shouted in worry. Wounded as they all were, they had no hope of providing any help, only staring helplessly as their little junior sister was about to meet her end. Whoosh tilde. The downcast Chu Ching Cheng up and vanished from everyone's sight, leaving the arrows to miss their target. The Spirit King shouted, "Where is she?" Above. From behind his cozy little bush, Shuo Fan grinned to himself as his right eye shone in one golden halo, divine eye of the void. First stage, Shif. Tilde. Chu Ching Cheng popped back into their sights just half a meter above the Spirit King's head, looking as dull as ever. What just happened? The man in black panicked, his eyes filled with confusion. What was that? I had control of the entire space, so why did this chick appear next to me without me sensing her? Just who am I dealing with here? The guy and Chu Ching Cheng shared an equally dumb look of stupefaction, forgetting who they were. The rest just stared at them like statues. Chu Ching Cheng's sisters were overwhelmed. What supreme skill was that? How did she do that? The Spirit King clearly didn't notice her either. One senior sister cried out, "Ching Cheng, now's your chance, attack." Chu Ching Cheng woke up from her daydreaming at long last. Right. She couldn't get a better shot than this, and slashed down. The Spirit King had no way of taking on a 12th grade spiritual weapon with his body and surviving. Chu Ching Cheng perked up and went for his head. The man reacted fast, flicking his sleeve and revealing sharp fingers as they aimed to grip Chu Ching Cheng's wrist with his power. It wouldn't stop as a mere seizure of the hand, but breaking it completely. The girls sighed inside. Even with Ching Cheng so strong, a Spirit King still has the upper hand even at such close distance. Their gap in experience shows. Chu Ching Cheng knew this as well, and her heart sank for some very peculiar reason though. The man's claw and the entire arm up and got flung in the air as it sprayed blood everywhere. The guy was frozen stiff with an utter dumbfounded look in his eyes. What the name of all that's holy going on here? Can anyone explain it to me? He would never get to know the truth, not like anyone here knew anyway. As he lost his golden chance to stop Chu Ching Cheng, her sword came down with ease. The Sword King got split in two, his innards and spilling out like molasses, soaking the dirt in his blood and guts. His separated eyes were still as confused as before, unable to unravel the profound mystery of his death. The shock outcome was so great everyone was in denial of what they saw. Chu Ching Cheng handling a peak Genesis expert was unexpected but understandable, somewhat, but doing it to someone a stage above? That guy had shed the mortal coil and became a Spirit King. And yet he got done in with a sword, something not even a peak Sword King could do. Everyone's eyes twitched as they looked at Chu Ching Cheng in fear and confusion. Her senior sisters as well were slack-jawed with popping eyes. Tilde. The late Spirit King and leader of the men landed before Chu Ching Cheng. While his features were covered, the cloth couldn't hide the naked bloodthirst in his eyes. Appearance is an illusion. A chick like you looks harmless as a puppy, yet a true expert hides underneath all that facade. He cupped his hands to her, shouting, "Please oblige me a few moves, young miss." He unleashed his power and the space all around started fracturing. The men in black cried out and cheered. Chu Ching Cheng was shocked to the core, forcing herself to breathe under that stifling power. Even as it pushed against her, she managed to stand still. The man grew grave. "Young miss, you're not going to show your true strength. You showed great power by dispatching my people with frightening ease, yet you can't even handle my pressure." He ramped up the aura by a third. Chu Ching Cheng coughed and sank to one knee, feeling like something was crushing her. The others were mocking her. "These broads are something, but not enough for our boss. He's the strongest, ha ha ha." The leader never left Chu Ching Cheng out of his sight, on high alert. The two deaths before were just two bizarre curses. "You dare mess with my woman?" Zhuo Fan wore a cold smile. "Since you insist on wanting me to step in, then you better be ready for it." Zhuo Fan's right eye flashed in 8 golden rings, divine eye of the void 8th stage, blink. Tilde. Chu Ching Cheng felt uplifted out of the blue, the pressure gone as she stood back with ease. She was perplexed. Did he stop? Looking around though, told a different story. The air around her was still shimmering, the grass beneath her was flattened and the rocks pulverized, yet 10 meters around her was right as rain. Chu Qingcheng was stumped. What's he playing at this time? The guy cracked up and looked ready to fight. So you're finally giving your all? Let's do this then, young miss. See that? She's standing under the boss pressure. Only spirit kings can do that. Yeah, that's why she killed 2 of our strong men, because she's on another level. We were too careless, taken in by her average appearance, when she was nothing but a spirit king expert. She must have been baiting us for the right moment to take the treasure back. The other men in black bobbed their heads, commenting on Chu Qingcheng's performance. She must be the real head senior sister of Ruby Cloud sect to guard the treasure. Fang Min's face twitched and ground her teeth. This lousy brat. This is absurd. I'm the real head senior sister here. Chapter 1193, Shadow. Chapter 1193, Shadow. Proofreader, Papatonks. Ignoring the comments, Chu Qingcheng was tense enough as it was due to the opponent's challenge. But she still raised her sword to point it at him and looked tough. Come. I'll never hand over the purple gold-glazed cup. Neither do I want you to, for it will be the winner's spoils. The leader's hand released a grey energy, his eyes sharp as they made the young Miss cower whoosh. Before the leader even got to strike, however, Chu Qingcheng's sword acted first. A sharp sword energy went by the leader's head, striking another spirit king somewhere behind. Blood spurted everywhere as the victim was removed from this world. The leader stiffened, frozen on the spot as if he regarded Chu Qingcheng like a monster or a creature beyond any comprehension. He had no time to even flinch as the attack flew dangerously close to his own head before taking down a brother of his. Just an inch to the side and it'd have been him instead. Gulp. The leader was sweating buckets just as he saw the young miss looking perplexed at what transpired. Her sword moved by itself. Whoosh. Chu Qingcheng's sword acted up again, sending another sword wave, whizzing past the leader's scalp to pop another spirit king into a cloud of bloody mist. Everyone shuddered as they jumped back, looking at Chu Qingcheng like she was a devil. A twitch of the sword nailed one down. Such simplistic and efficient killing was that of an expert killer. What was even worse, she was mocking their leader, the one she was actually facing, while culling them instead. Just how outrageous is this chick's power to even slight a late-stage spirit king? Is she an emperor? As blood leaked out of a slight cut on the leader's cheek, he now saw Chu Qingcheng with nothing but fear. He never saw a faster sword in his life. The girl wasn't innocent by a long shot. The strikes were shot with brutality, meant to execute with impunity. Miss, who on earth are you? Unable to get even his voice under control, the leader shuddered in front of Chu Qingcheng's guileless gaze. Chu Qingcheng mused, then replied according to the custom, with cupped hands, I am Ruby Cloud Sect 362nd Generation Disciple, Chu Qingcheng. May I know who you are? 362 ND, the youngest. How do you have such power and skill? Incapable of getting an answer, the leader frowned in thought. He regarded Chu Qingcheng again with utter shock now. That's. A shadow grew behind Chu Qingcheng, dark and shifty, and he only realized it now thanks to his Spirit King level cultivation. The force he felt from it left him weak in the knees and he staggered back. He hastily cupped his hands. I am in awe of Miss' incredible feat of strength. We'll meet again if fate wills it. Let's go. The leader waved and was the first to flee for his life. His back soaked. The rest of his men were right behind him. The missy must be really something for the boss to choose retreat over attacking. Chu Qingcheng was absolutely perplexed, just saluting back on reflex. Yeah, later. Humph, what frickin' later? You came for a fight, so don't think of getting out alive. Chu Qingcheng didn't care about them, while Zhuo Fan snickered from his cozy little bush. Chu Qingcheng's shadow shot out and her sword acted up again. Whoosh. A sword energy flew at the men in black, running through the chests of 3 people. Plop tilde. They all turned to a bloody mist, all Genesis stage experts. The leader snapped at Chu Qingcheng. Miss, we never touched any of your people. We're even leaving, yet you would be so cruel as to kill us, fleeing men? No, it's the sword. Chu Qingcheng looked hurt at the accusation, lamenting as she turned to her sword. Her words got cut off, literally, as her sword had a mind of its own. Sword energy flew galore, each robbing a wail of agony from a man in black, along with his life, sending them to the great beyond. The leader looked at the heavy casualties and roared, curses, This chick is an oddity and bloodthirsty like a banshee. Run, we'll pay her back later. Well, aren't you a ray of sunshine, so optimistic? Humph, there won't be any loose ends. Whoosh tilde. Zhuo Fan flicked from his bush with an insidious smile. Chu Qingqing's shadow moved her hand and sent more sword energy flying, making it so it was all her doing. The sky was filled under the gaudy lights of the sword waves, soon covering the ground in fresh and bloody corpses for the new grass to grow. The Ruby Cloud sect disciples looked startled. Since when was junior sister Qingcheng so cruel? Chu Qingcheng watched as lives were mowed down like grass on the verge of tears, shouting, "Stop, please stop. No can do, Qingcheng. I'm ending this here and now for your sake." Zhuo Fan muttered from the bush. Chu Qingcheng held the sword with both hands, trying her best to get it under control. She cried, "Stop this instant or I will cripple my meridians. Without my Yuan Qi you can't do anything." Zhuo Fan listened at last, with a shake of his head. "Fine, since you said so and if it'll make you happy." Chu Qingqing's shadow settled and the flood of sword energy slowed down to a halt. Though only 3 men in black remained, including the leader glancing back at the she-demon, the wretched thieves ran for their lives while the girl was downcast. They came here thinking it was an easy gig, but luck had it they got almost all of their men killed. We need backup to deal with this hellspore. The Ruby Cloud sect disciples glanced at Chu Qingcheng, slumped on the ground, with dull eyes. They couldn't recognize her, only feeling fear. "Senior sister, are you all right? I kept the purple gold glazed cup safe." Chu Qingcheng jumped back to her feet like nothing happened, beaming at the girls. "You're all hurt. Want me to heal you?" "Pa." Fang Minute yanked the cup from Chu Qingcheng's hand and mocked as a form of thanks. "Little junior sister, you sure kept to yourself all this time. But now you showed us. Without your help today, junior sister, our lives would have been forfeited. All of us are so useless, needing junior sister's protection." "Senior sister, don't say that. It's my duty." Chu Qingcheng was worried as she spoke obliviously to the sarcasm. "Senior sister, why aren't you pleased that we have overcome this disaster?" Fang Minute chuckled with scorn. "Oh, I'm pleased as punch, of junior sister's glorious future. You alone had finished off 24 people and many spirit kings among them, making us fall short. But junior sister, when did you become so cruel to kill people on a whim? We all saw them leaving, so why did you go after them still? If I didn't know any better, you'd have to be from Devil Mountain than Ruby Cloud sect. Senior sister, I really didn't want to kill them. It was my sword. It just moved." "That's rich." Fang Minute snickered, her tone biting and mean. "Sisters, let's keep going. We don't need to worry about little junior sister anymore. She has an almighty independent divine sword and can do away without our help." Fang Minute was the first to fly off, with the others taking healing pills before giving Chu Qingcheng looks of fear and then following. Chu Qingcheng was left alone and in guilt, looking at her baffling spiritual sword with conflicted emotions. She liked the sword for coming to her and her senior sister's rescue, but hated it for going out of control and isolating her from her senior sisters. It was never the sword, however, but a man, the one wearing a creepy smile just off to the side in a bush. Chapter 1194, An Emperor Joins. Chapter 1194, An Emperor Joins. Proofreader, Papatonks. Chu Qingcheng lowered her head, depressed, looking at her sword with a sigh. "Senior sisters are wrong about me. I'm no killer." "Ah. They have the treasure and might meet other mean people." Chu Qingcheng started and spoke to her spiritual sword. "Cerulean, we have to protect senior sisters, but you have to behave and not kill whenever. You have to listen, or..." Chu Qingcheng's voice drifted, not knowing how to threaten her rampant spiritual sword. "Or I'll just get another one." Ding. The sword slightly shook in ridicule. "You call that a threat? Besides, that wasn't me, so why are you threatening me?" "Humph." The oblivious Chu Qingcheng was deaf to her spiritual sword, of course, looking relieved as she chased after her senior sisters. "Save me. Someone save me." A sudden cry reached her ears. Shriek tilde. She also heard the sharp shriek of a bird. Chu Qingcheng looked back in panic. A 100-meter big bird, covered in blue flames, was holding a man in its beak. 8th level spiritual beast, Firestorm Eagle. Chu Qingcheng shouted, How did this guy end up caught by a spiritual beast like this? Cerulean, let's go save him. Chu Ching Cheng shot for the 8th level spiritual beast and slashed bam. A white sword wave hacked into the blue flames, freezing the air and making the fire fizzle out. Shriek Tilda. The spiritual beast cried out and Zhuo Fan used this chance to get out of its beak. The spiritual beast didn't fight the girl, choosing to flee instead. Chu Ching Cheng beamed, then recalled Zhuo Fan and went to him, only to find his legs sticking out of the ground. Chu Ching Cheng grabbed one at random and pulled. Sorry, I was so focused on the fight with the beast I forgot about you. Are you alright? Ha ha ha, I'm perfect. I am in the bone tempering stage after all and won't die from something as simple as falling. Zhuo Fan grinned and wiped his face of dirt and dust. Ching Cheng, thanks for saving me again. It must be in the stars to meet. We have to be fated to be together. Chu Ching Cheng's face fell and through him. Humph, a scoundrel only knows how to spew lies. I wasted my time saving you for nothing. You're just trying to make your move on me. I should have just let that bird eat you. You'd never, since you can't go on without me. Zhuo Fan was sickeningly corny, though he was also right as his words made Chu Ching Cheng blush. Her heart racing, she shook her head of those random emotions and gave a smirk. You're nothing to me, braggart, so why would I ever stick around with you? Humph, now off you go, shoo. I still need to find my senior sisters. Bye. Chu Ching Cheng left. Zhuo Fan howled and his forehead was covered in sweat, straining to speak. Ching Cheng, don't worry about me, just do what you have to do. Leave me here in the wild outdoors for another strong spiritual beast to come around and take a bite out of me, again. I won't blame you, since you don't care about me. Just go do you. Chu Ching Cheng looked back to see Zhuo Fan grimacing and looking pale while his leg bled. Chu Ching Cheng rushed over and took out a gauze to bandage him. Weren't you a bone-tempering cultivator? Why did you get a broken leg from falling? It's that spiritual beast who snapped it in its beak. Zhuo Fan gasped. Bone-tempering stage isn't enough to withstand those sharp fangs. Here, a healing pill from my sect. She fished out a vial in a rush and fed Zhuo Fan a pill. Chu Ching Cheng's heart felt forlorn for some reason, but as we're all Genesis experts, we only got pills for internal wounds. It will take a week to heal your leg as is. Zhuo Fan nodded, looking distressed. Not moving for a week. I'll be a sitting duck for spiritual beasts to gobble me up. Stop saying that. You'll be fine with me around. Chu Ching Cheng glared at him, but then she looked in the direction her fellow sisters went. Zhuo Fan smiled. Ching Cheng, aren't you going after your senior sisters? Just go and forget about me. How can I just leave you with your leg like this? Puffing her underwhelming chest, Chu Ching Cheng spoke with honor and righteousness, but then she hoisted Zhuo Fan's arm and helped him up on her back, smiling. Isn't this better? I'll carry you to find my senior sisters and let you down in a safe place. That's mighty clever of you. Zhuo Fan lit up and nodded. Chu Ching Cheng smiled in pride. Of course, now let's go. The two were gone like the wind, but the pure girl failed to notice the big eagle looking at them from a distance. Thank heavens that prick is gone. Brother, what's with that cut on your back? Another eagle shrieked in teasing, many times bigger. Did a human play with you? Want bro here to set them straight? The first eagle flayed its wings and squawked, looking panicky. No, definitely no. Please don't. I never want to see that guy again. Is he that tough? From the wound, he doesn't look much to me. The slash barely dented your feathers. You know nothing. It's not the sword wielder, the tough one, but the guy forcing me to hold him in my beak. Its eyes were filled with fear as he recalled Zhuo Fan's black orbs. Its feathers even trembled from terror. The bigger eagle looked stumped. Who on earth did this guy meet to make him shake like a leaf? The escaping men in black arrived at a barren mountain, where a refined elder was enjoying his tea in his chair. The three men in black slumped weakly at the old man's side, bowing. Clan head. Well, where is it? Clan head, we failed to take it and suffered heavy casualties. The leader hung his head crack. The cup broke in the old man's hand, his voice laced with fury. Failed? More than 20 experts and a late-stage spirit king failed? Weren't they just 7 girls? You couldn't even deal with them? Are you morons or simply garbage? Clan head. The others shivered, with the leader speaking. Clan head, let me explain. 6 of them were nothing, But the last girl was simply horrible. She killed without blinking and had an uncanny power about her. None of us could handle her. Even WW would have ended up dead if we were any slower. The old man eyed them and rose from his chair, his eyes sharp. For you, a late-stage spirit king, to fail against her, then she must be something else. That leaves only me to step in. Clan head, you're going to go after them yourself. The demonic emperor entrusted us with this task and I'm not about to botch it. The old man snapped back. If just one of you had shown even a bit of promise, I wouldn't have deigned to steal from some nobodies. The old man covered his face with black cloth. The demonic emperor said not to harm anyone if possible, as to not stir up the old hag. All that matters is that we ruin their deal in Mist City. Let's go. Yes. They all got excited, with the clan head stepping in. That girl is finished. He is a mighty expert in the sacred domain, a true emperor. Chapter 1195, Imperial Descent. Chapter 1195, Imperial Descent. Proofreader, Papatonks. Whoosh tilde. Under a clear sunny sky, the 6 disciples of Ruby Cloud sect were the only ones flying. The leader had a nice face, but the grimace ruined her image. The head senior sister looked angry all the time these past 3 days. One looked worried. Senior sister, aren't we going too fast? There's been no sight of junior sister all this time. Maybe she's lost. Humph, a spirit king is beneath her but she can't catch up. She must have been playing around since it's her first time outside the sect. Why do you care? Fang Minute spat with venom. The disciple's heart shrank but still tried. Yeah, it's her first time this far from the sect and might not know the way. Should we leave her some signs to follow? You talk too much. Fang Minute barked. That girl's so tough now, so why would she need your care? Are you leaving signs so the enemy can find us instead? Is that it? The girl shrank under head senior sister's harsh stare. Fang Minute glared at her, then looked back ahead, brooding and furious as they went on. Boom. A sudden pressure came out of nowhere over them and their flight was cut off. Falling to the ground, an aged voice laughed from everywhere. Ha ha ha, you think I need some signs to find you? Whoosh tilde. 50 men in black landed before them, with 20 spirit kings among them. Their leader wore black, his scary eyes making the girls tremble. Imperial descent, he's an emperor. Fang Minute gasped, full with dread as she looked at the older man. Her heart was beating so hard it might jump out of her chest. The other girls could barely breathe. The old man mocked, juniors of the Ruby Cloud sect, I'd rather avoid having any real altercation with that biddy, so hand over the purple gold glazed cup. I'll be letting you all go without harming one hair on you. What do you say? As a mighty emperor, senior must be of great renown in sacred domain. Why would you lower yourself to some petty theft? Arg. Fang Minute tried the diplomatic way, her tone shaky, but an even stronger pressure descended and forced her to shriek and cough blood. The old man snickered. We all have our sordid past, or do you not already see our covered faces? Girl, give it here and we'll be out of your hair, no fuss no mess. But if it gets to it, I'll just have to pry it from your cold, dead hands. The girls tensed, all looking towards Fang Minute and awaiting her decision. Head senior sister, what do we do? Senior. Fang Min's eyes darted around, smiling. Sorry, but you're getting ahead of yourself. You really want me to kill you all? Ha ha ha, kill us? Fang Minute laughed in his face. Senior, you got me all wrong. I'm not so stupid to fight the impossible. The treasure just isn't with us. You can just kill us and see for yourself. The old man's face twitched as he gave her a hard look. Not on you. Do you think I'll buy that? Search ahead then. Fang Minute grinned as she forced her feet under her, taking out her storage ring. I'll go first. All I have is in there. Take a look. Why, still don't believe me? Haha, you can just search me as well. Fang Minute started undressing under the fixed gaze of the old man. As her dress grew lighter, her curves grew more obvious. The other guys behind were enchanted. Many gulped and drooled, having forgotten about some lame treasure, engrossed in having her take off everything. That took priority by far, senior sister. Her fellow disciples were tense and jittery. When senior sister finishes, it won't be us next, will it? We'll now lose both the treasure and our purity. What is senior sister thinking going so far? All right. Fang Minute was left in a most enticing and revealing inner garment when the old man stopped her. His men hung their heads at having lost a good show, whining inside, "Clan head, can't you mind the timing? Only just a bit more. I know you're withered, but you could at least think of everyone else." The old man already believed this last somewhat for going so far, not even bothering with the throne ring as he shouted, "I'll believe you, for now, but if you don't have it, who does?" "My junior sister." "Your junior sister?" "Junior sister is the strongest, so the treasure can only be in her care. We're nothing but bait. Even if you kill us, you won't get anything out of it." Fang Ming held out her head. The old man looked back at the previous leader and he attested, "Clan head, the strongest girl is indeed not here. They must have split up and had her deliver the treasure. Where is she?" The old man fixed his gaze back on Fang Minute. "Speak and you may go. Otherwise." Fang Minute paused. 3 days ago, after the attack, junior sister took a different route, just to be safe. I have no idea where she could be by now. You could just trail back and maybe still find some clues. Find some trackers and get me her direction." The old man's piercing gaze never left Fang Minute. "Girl, lie to me and I'll be back at any time to send you all to hell. Let's go." He shot into the sky, gone like the wind. The rest gulped and gave the 6 pretty girls one last look before leaving as well. Even with all the danger gone, the girls still looked to be in despair. Getting dressed again and picking up her ring, Fang Minute had a smile of utter scorn on her face. "Humph, here's what you want, you old fart. Come and get it." "Senior sister, are they gone? Will they come back?" One girl was still shaken up from the deadly pressure. Even now Fang Minute grew grave. "Yeah, once he finds junior sister doesn't have the purple gold glazed cup, he'll be sure to storm back. Sisters, we're detouring to Mist City. Leave not a trace of your energy on your way so they can't find us." "Yes, head senior sister." They all cupped their hands, but then one girl shyly said, "What about little junior sister? When they do find her? That's her problem. It was either sending them after her or us dying instead. What would you prefer, her or us?" Fang Minute snapped a cold glare on her, shutting her up. She had a cruel smile as she then took the lead. "All the rants are eating her up these past days gone. Girl, you won't be missed, humph." 5 days went by, with a girl carrying on her back a thin man and taking a totally different path from Fang Min's group. In flying she spoke her worries. "Zhuo Fan, is Mist City this way? Why haven't we met with the others yet?" "Not to worry, my sense of direction is perfect." Zhuo Fan grinned, feeling warm and gooey inside as he gazed upon her adorable and worried face. "Perfect direction? Huh. Well, of course, I've been roaming the sacred domain for ages that I know it like the back of my hand. While admitting the fact I'm taking the wrong way is a different story. Rather than catch up to those third wheels, a world just for the two of us is so much better, haha." Chapter 1196, Hellish. Chapter 1196, Hellish. Proofreader, Papatonks. Huff-tilde. It had been a week already, yet no sign of the girls as Chu Qingcheng carried Zhuo Fan with ragged breath. Worry plagued her innocent heart, making her not stop for even a second all this time. Even for a Genesis stage expert, the long travel took its toll. Zhuo Fan was feeling a bit guilty, wiping her sweaty brow. "Qingcheng, my leg is healed now. Let's take a rest." "No, I've yet to catch up to my senior sisters. We can't stop now. It will only make us lag further behind." Chu Qingcheng was stubborn. "You won't ever catch them, not by taking the wrong way at least." Zhuo Fan sighed. "Qingcheng, what difference does it make if we can't reach them? They're faster than you anyway, so there's no way you can catch up. Aren't you going to just meet up in Mist City? You'll just see them there, so just take it easy." "But this is my first time outside the sect. How should I know where Mist City is? Don't you have me for something this simple? I'll show you the way." "You?" Chu Qingcheng started, looking back. "Weren't you out looking for herbs? Won't I give you more trouble for guiding me all the way to Mist City?" Zhuo Fan chuckled. "What does it matter? I'm just a drifter. We'll just go to Mist City, then you can drop me off on your way back." "Oh, then, thanks." Qingcheng's cheeks went pink thinking she would carry him back as well. Though her heart did not seem to mind it, Zhuo Fan snickered. his breath tickling her ear. You don't want to carry me? Chu Qingcheng blushed harder, shaking her head. Would you carry me then? The guy was taking all the advantage he could from her back, making her flustered. Then hold me all my life, alright? Zhuo Fan spoke in an emotional and heavy tone. Chu Qingcheng shuddered, her mind blanking out as she stared deep in those black and tender eyes of his. She just did not know where Zhuo Fan's confession even came from to say something like that. Zhuo Fan looked at her with nothing but love, leaned over and pecked her lips. Dong. Chu Qingcheng froze solid, her mind blown away. Feeling the strange yet familiar male scent, her heart raced. With one shudder they both fell to the ground, each left a 2-meter-wide hole. Chu Qingcheng crawled out of hers, panicky and blushing, looking over as Zhuo Fan held on the edge of his hole. Why are you just toying with me again? Yeah, sorry, I just can't help it, hey. Zhuo Fan scratched his head, yet showed no remorse as he smiled. Since I took unfair advantage, why don't you do the same? I'll even let you kiss me for 10 whole minutes. I won't mind it one bit either, haha. Why you so crude? Chu Qingcheng glared at him and walked out on him. I'm ignoring you. Qingcheng, don't go. You don't know the way, so let me guide you. I don't need you. I can just ask someone, humph. Zhuo Fan snickered as he gestured for the way ahead. Chu Qingcheng had lost faith in this rascal, huffing and flying into the air in anger. Zhuo Fan scratched his head. Too soon? Was I pushing things too hard? Ha ha ha, guess it's not easy chasing girls. I just can't understand how Qingcheng stood so loyal for 10 years and endured so much bitterness. Guess I get what I deserve now, with me doing the chasing this time. Zhuo Fan sighed. Let's see what I should use this time for our next meeting. Last time I was getting chewed by an eagle, so that's out. I'm in the bone tempering stage, so I can't just go after her. Whoosh tilde. Zhuo Fan was going through his bag of tricks to hook girls when black streaks flew overhead and darkened the sky. Thanks to his meager cultivation, he was ignored by these powerhouses. Zhuo Fan, however, grew grave from their direction of flight. How did they catch up so fast? Qingcheng is all alone, so they should be looking after those broads instead, take their stuff and just leave. So why are they here again? Casting blame? Zhuo Fan vanished the next second. Damn it, they even have an emperor with them. I won't be able to hide this time. Chu Qingcheng kept flying and cursing in anger. Rotten, evil Zhuo Fan, you only know how to toy with me. Senior sister was right, there's no trusting any man. They're all evil. Boom. A resounding boom echoed, followed by an unearthly pressure slamming into her and sending her crashing into the ground. Rumble. An even bigger explosion echoed as a crater half a mile wide sprouted, kicking up dust. Chu Qingcheng coughed blood and looked pale. Men in black landed in her sights, the leader being an old man. Huh? She doesn't look like anything, yet she killed 24 people. Clan head, don't let her cultivation fool you, she is a freak. The ex-leader whispered in his ear. Chu Qingcheng strained her waned face, only to cough blood again. Why you again? Girl, hand over the purple gold glazed cup, or I'll give you a fate worse than death. Purple gold glazed cup. Chu Qingcheng looked confused. I don't have it, but I wouldn't give Ruby Cloud sex treasure even if I did. The old man scoffed. Very well. Bam. Chu Qingcheng was sent flying from a kick to the gut. She jerked and coughed more blood, mixed with her innards. How weak, just at Genesis stage. The old man frowned, looking back in doubt. Is she the same expert that had you scared out of your minds? I don't see it. The man's face twitched, hanging his head. Clan head, maybe she's not herself today, up on bricks. Pa. The old man smacked him hard. You think it's funny? The old man snorted. The other man lowered his head, cursing Chu Qingcheng to high heaven. Damn girl, where has all that fire gone? Give me something, even a tenth, so that I can prove to clan head my mission failed for a very good reason. As it is now, I'm only being rebutted. There's no way we can prove our failure now. I'll deal with you later. Yes. The old man glared at him before turning to Chu Qingcheng. The ex-leader looked like a kicked puppy, on the verge of crying. The old man reached the girl and raised his foot. Lass, you killed my men, so I can't let you go like the rest. Since you're so obstinate, I'll crack open that skull of yours before looking for the treasure on your body. The old man stomped. A mighty pressure fell on her face, heralding certain doom. Chu Qingcheng felt her weakened body growing heavy and her heart sinking. Am I going to die? There's so many things I want to do. I don't even know my purpose in life, so how can I just... Boom. Her eyes closed just as the old man stomped a huge crater in front of her a mile wide. When the dust settled, the old man shook, his head whipping in another direction and shouting, "State who you are. You don't need to know it for where you're going." A pitch-black figure appeared in the roaming dust, its voice eerie and chilling. Even these criminals used to getting their hands dirty felt their hearts seizing from the hellish feeling. Chapter 1197, Imperial Mark. Chapter 1197, Imperial Mark. Proofreader, Papatonks. All heads turned to where the wind blew, on edge. Even the old man was cautious, taking back his foot when all dust cleared. They saw a thin man holding a barely alive Chu Qingcheng. The men in black gasped. He saved her from under Clanhead's nose without any of us noticing anything. He's a true expert. The old man's eyes shone, his voice low. At least it makes my trip worthwhile knowing there's someone that can take me on. Zhuo Fan traced Chu Qingcheng's unconscious face, looking dark as he turned to the rest. Geezer, you must be rushing to die going after her. Humph, pretentious fool, at least you have skill to save someone from my attack. Though having an unconscious girl weighing you down won't be of much help. Whoosh tilde. The old man looked smug with his smile, but then he heard whistling sword waves, instantly ripping apart 10 spirit kings, so fast. Everyone gasped in fright. The old man froze as well, unable to believe what he saw. How is his sword energy so fast that I couldn't even see it? It's beyond even Sword Emperor Ao Chengtian's Imperial Sword Winds. What the hell are you? The old man finally revealed fear in his voice for the first time. Zhuo Fan grinned, with the ex-leader in black exclaiming, "Now I get it. Clan head, he had to be the one who struck us before, not the girl. He's the monster." Bam! His head got split in two like a melon. Zhuo Fan smiled. "Who sent you and why?" They all gulped, the only sound in the deathly silence. The other men were horrified, glancing at the clan head for any signs of what to do. The old man was sweating now, thinking of a way out. Zhuo Fan shook his head. "Since you can't even answer, I have no further use for you. Heaven sealing sword art, space seal." Zhuo Fan flicked his hand and the space took on a cold glint, with all of the others stuck in place. What is this? A spirit king? Their hearts jumped in their chests. The elder looked grave, barely budging even as an emperor. With his movement slowed down so much, he began to feel the danger. He's no average spirit king to be able to freeze fellow spirit kings and even an emperor. Just what is he? Why haven't I heard of anyone like him in all my years in sacred domain? Zhuo Fan grinned. "Well, feel like talking now? You can opt for silence, but there'll be nothing left of any of you to even bury you. Who was it that said she's weighing me down? I don't even need to go all out against the likes of you, ha ha ha." Zhuo Fan drew out 2 fingers, the air warping from the violent forces gathering at the tip's weight. The old man shouted in a panic, "I'll talk. I don't think Sir is from Ruby Cloud sect, nor do I know why you got involved in this, but I don't think you'll tell me either way. But still, no one wants to butt in the issues of the 8 emperors, I reckon." Zhuo Fan nodded. The old man looked relieved at his attitude. "We are under the demonic emperor, tasked to go after the Ruby Cloud sect disciples and get the purple gold glazed cup. The treasure auction in Mist City has a map of the Nether Sea that everyone wants. It points the way to the Nether Sovereign's home, with the promise of becoming a sovereign, or at least a saint. By taking the Ruby Cloud sect's treasure, it could no longer participate in the bidding, giving us one less opponent to worry about." "Oh, pretty much what I figured as well." Zhuo Fan nodded, flicking his hand, letting the violent energy expand everywhere. The frozen people evaporated on contact. 50 experts died just like that. The old man cried in anger. What are you doing? I told you everything, so why?" "You did, but I don't recall ever saying I'll let you go." With a sinister smile, Zhuo Fan said, "You hurt Qingcheng and expect to live? Huh." The old man ground his teeth, his eyes bloodshot. "This is absurd. I didn't want to get involved with you for fear of suffering pointless casualties. Did you really think that an emperor like me would be scared of a mere spirit king?" Boom. The old man shook and flew out of the frozen space. He started making signs and golden lights spilled out of him. Imperial mark, ghost skeleton. Whoosh tilde. The golden lights exploded in intensity and a skeleton hundreds of meters big appeared around him. The golden lights focused then and took the form of a four-sided seal high in the sky, encompassing the old man and the skeleton. Fan watched it all with a cold eye and a smirk. This was a skill particular to emperors, using one's soul and control of space to form the imperial mark, unstoppable and disregarding all spatial laws. Once the seal fell, the land would break along with any spirit king that tried fighting it. The soul's character would also be shown its full potential inside the imperial mark as well. The old man's soul was a ghost skeleton, of yin in nature, making the attack have an even harsher effect on souls. The moment the golden seal appeared, spilling light everywhere, Fan shook as he heard howls of wraiths within his mind. It dazed him for a moment, with his body wobbling. Humph, nothing but a spirit king. You can control space, but can you take on the imperial heavenly brilliance? The old man was out for blood, shouting as the golden seal came down on top of Fan. Rotten cretin, I'll make mincemeat out of you, now while your mind is hazy. Apocalyptic thunder flame. Fan's left eye flared with black flames, while deep in his soul, thunder flames sparked to life. The golden glow met with a sudden blackness, erasing it and making Fan's eyes shine. Looking up at the incoming golden seal, Fan grinned. His right eye shone in two golden halos. Humph, the imperial mark might be unstoppable, but even it will suffer before my thunder flame. Divine eye of the void. Second stage, thunder flame void annihilation. Whoosh. A dreadful black beam of flame shot at the golden seal. The old man cried out, "What is that?" Boom. The black flame smashed into the seal and availed itself of the void annihilation's power to enter the newly formed 1/2 meter wide and hundreds of meters long hole. The old man spurted blood and paled, proving that the imperial mark and he were connected, making him suffer when it was damaged. What was worse, the black thunder flames didn't rest with only punching a hole in the seal, eating away at the remains as well. With an unearthly howl, the man screamed from having his very soul eaten away. The pain had to be excruciating, enough to make one go insane. He was constantly pleading for mercy, yet Fan just stood to the side and watched as the seal was burned to nothing. The old man wailed in pain down to his last breath, his face twisted and horrible. It was a testament to a most gruesome death no one would wish upon anyone. I didn't use the decimating sword art on you as well because I needed your body intact. Fan walked over to the twisted body, chuckling. He hooked his finger and a head landed in his palm. Chapter 1198, Gambling Town. Chapter 1198, Gambling Town. Proofreader, Papatonks. Drip tilde. The downpour had soaked the land, washing away the blood and filth, leaving no trace behind of the atrocity that happened, while giving the air an earthy scent. In a damp cave, with water dripping from the stalagmites, the girl laying on a stone bed muttered as she woke up, Where am I? Oh, Ching Cheng, awake yet? Fan lit up, chuckling. I can't believe how I ended up saving you in the end. Shouldn't you pledge endless devotion now? Ha ha ha. You saved me. Ching Cheng was confused, trying to recall the fuzzy details. Then it all came to her in a flash, looking at Fan with suspicion. How did you save me? They had an emperor and many spirit kings. Emperor, spirit kings? Fan shrugged, putting on a clueless look. I didn't see any. Didn't you just leave me behind? As I tried catching up with you on the ground, I saw you lying unconscious. So I carried you here to nurse you. I never got to see anything. Ching Cheng's eyes grew hazy. Strange, they were so ruthless, clearly wanting to kill me. I still remember that foot about to crush my head before I lost consciousness. Did they just let me go after finding I don't have it? Ching Cheng turned to Fan, as if in question. Fan shrugged, smiling cluelessly. Ching Cheng thought long and hard but still couldn't find an explanation. So she resigned to being fortunate to have come out alive. Now she just had to catch up to her senior sisters. She just got up to her feet when she felt her waist in pain before slumping back down. Fan jumped to help her. What is it? Take it slow, Ching Cheng. I have some bad wounds and can't move very well. Ching Cheng winced and took a red pill from her ring. She ate it and sighed. Now it'll be a miracle if I get to Mist City on time, let alone catching up with the others. Fan smiled, his mind calculative. Did you forget about me already? Last time you carried me, so now I'll carry you. You. Yep. With you unable to fly, my running has to be way better than being stuck here, right? Chu Ching-cheng yelped as he up and put her on his back, taking a long whiff of her scent while plastering a smile on his face. Oh, my wife's smell is so unlike everyone else's. I'll be sure to engrave it in my memory, to hold it close to the end of days. Bam! Chu Ching-cheng smacked his head, blushing hard and chiding. Cut that out. I am not your wife. Yes you are. Miscreant. Maybe not now, but you soon will be. You can never escape from me. He. Zhuo Fan held onto Chu Ching-cheng's supple legs and lifted, eliciting another pleasant yelp from her before he started walking. Chu Ching-cheng glared at this rotten man, but for some reason, her heart just wouldn't match her thoughts. His wide back called to her to just rest on it as a strong girl. She, of course, pushed through the thought with sheer determination. Despite her heart's constant hammering in her chest, Zhuo Fan carried his darling, asking about her life till now. Ching-cheng, who gave you that name anyway? It sounds so nice, like those kingdom-toppling beauties. Is father-in-law a Chu? Stop that nonsense. Chu Ching-cheng blushed again, but she replied still, Master named me when she picked me up. I heard that the ground collapsed just as Master passed by, revealing these characters, thus taking me and naming me after them. Oh, I see. Zhuo Fan nodded. That old man from my soul was very thoughtful for me. To make sure I found Ching-cheng, he left clues of her birth, but... And your parents? Didn't your master find your parents? Chu Ching-cheng lowered her head, sighing. Master said I don't have any, that she only found me alone. I always wanted to go out and find where I came from when I left the sect. Any idea where to begin? None. Chu Ching-cheng shook her head. Zhuo Fan's eyes shone, his mind making the right adjustments to the plan. Then leave it to me. I will make it clear as day. You don't believe I can do it? Zhuo Fan raised an eyebrow, smiling. I've been roaming the world for so many years, and where I lack in strength, I made up with knowledge in spades. They don't call me an information broker for nothing. There's not an obscure rumor or far-fetched myth I didn't hear. The demonic emperor's high treachery or the enchanting empress's twisted love life throughout the ages, I know everything. Pa. His head snapped to the side from the blow as Chu Ching-cheng yelled at him, Don't you dare vilify my master. Why would I even want to? While the crone is hardly amazing now, back in the day. You're still saying that. Fine, I'll stop. It's not like we all haven't been rash and reckless in our youth. Zhuo Fan smirked, feeling gloomy inside. What's so great about that biddy anyway? Something's definitely off here, just taking Ching-cheng to the sect and raising her. I'd better get those guys to look into what went on a century ago. Zhuo Fan walked on, his mind on different matters. Chu Ching-cheng saw him silent and asked, Are you angry? Oh, not at all. I could never be angry at you. Zhuo Fan beamed. Chu Ching-cheng brightened and her heart swooned. In her joy, her head leaned on his back, at peace and happy. Zhuo Fan caught her look and was just as content. Zhuo Fan walked with Chu Ching-cheng on his back for 7 days before she finally got better. She could pretty much walk on her own and be off on her merry way, but these short days had worked to get the destined couple to grow much closer, as well as Zhuo Fan's persistent demand to guide her. Chu Ching-cheng thus let him do what he wanted. With some reluctance she ended up carrying him as they flew. Reaching the gates of Mist City 3 months later, the two entered the bustling city hand in hand. Everything drew Chu Ching-cheng's eyes, amazed at any sparkling or cute thing, being her first time outside the sect. Zhuo Fan acted natural, except for that eerie light in his eyes. Ching-cheng, Mist City is known as gambling town in sacred domain, with a gambling game at every corner of every street. In the city center, the treasure hoarding palace took the best spot of all gambling dens. The treasure deal you are all here for has to be held there. This is a gambling town. Isn't it 7 Treasures sect's domain, where deals are made? It is, but the sect leader is a renowned gambler, dubbed the Gambling Emperor, making the deals made here resemble gambling. When conducting business with him, you either lose, or he loses. There's no such thing as mutual satisfaction. What? Chu Ching-cheng gasped. No fairness? Who on earth would bet with him for anything then? As one of the 8 emperors, who'd win against him? Zhuo Fan smiled. A true gambler knows when to accept a loss. Or there would never be anyone willing to risk gambling against such a man if there's not a chance of winning. A gambler would be down without a buddy to gamble with. That's why the gambling emperor is only letting luck decide. Regardless of the loss, he'll never go back on it. This is the rule of all gambling. The moment he breaks it, no one will ever come to his town ever again. Chu Qingcheng nodded and then her eyes shone. Zhuofan, have you ever bet against him? Ha ha ha, nah, it can't be. Why would he bet against someone like you? And you don't look to be having anything worth his time either. Oh, I did bet. Zhuofan's eyes flashed. I offered a heaven-grade cultivation method for his heaven-grade martial art and won in the end. He ended up crying 3 whole days before he finally gave me the martial art. Chu Qingcheng gave him a long look. A bone-tempering cultivator with a heaven-grade cultivation method betting for a heaven-grade martial art? If you're going to boast, make it believable. Reading her like a book, Zhuofan held her gaze before finally chuckling. Qingcheng, can't believe you fell for it. Without me around, I fear someone's going to cheat you out of your spirit stones. Ha ha ha. Why you tricked me? Chu Qingcheng gaped, then started chasing Zhuofan around. He played along, enjoying the rare moment. Qingcheng, what are you doing?